Listen and subscribe to The Table of Truth on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. Welcome, everybody, to The Table of Truth. As always, it's your man Cam. With me, as always, is
Hotep Vegeta, aka the biggest hater you know.
as well as
Yo, I'm happy you embrace it. Now, what up, y'all? This is EA Sports owes me $100, aka Dwayne.
So, guys, save that for the video game pod.
Well,
And,
yeah, true.
and last but certainly not least,
Yo, this is Josh, aka the Bearded Wonder, aka Bizarre Superman.
You had to come in with the Barry White voice, man.
I
Damn,
know,
bro.
yeah.
That's my
AKA
regular voice. What?
DJ Toss Grenades.
Truth, my fault. I can't forget the.
and we're back. Table of Truth. The in the month, kind of sneaking in. We're trying to do this once a month, and we're cutting it close this time. But we're
Coming
here.
in through
We're
the
here.
back door.
Yeah, for reals. Yeah, fellas. How's it going? Rough out there for black people.
It's been a rough weekend.
That we were talking about, what we're going to talk about today, and then I was like, "Hey, guys, we should talk about the shootings." And then Cam was like, "Which one?" Oh, damn.
Hey, and I wasn't even trying to be funny. I
No,
was
he
like,
wasn't. No, he was dead
like,
serious.
which one? And that's a sad state of affairs.
Mhm.
If in this day and age you ask me, did I hear about the shootings? And there's so many that I can't even pinpoint the one we need to talk about. So that's it's there's dark humor in that, but like it just sucks that it comes down to this, and that's how I feel
Mhm.
about it.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy because I mean my younger brothers, the twins, they go to like Baptist churches and stuff, and so they've been, I think, of lately, because of all the stuff that's been going on, their posts and their socials have been a little bit more blackety black than normal. And so, like, normally, they're happy, they singing and crap, and they'll put up like, anime shit and comics. But now it's just like, yo, white people, yo, stop oppressing us, systematic racism. Like, I'm like, whoa, hey, guys, calm down a little bit. They're like, no, people need to know. I'm like, all right, cool. But what's happening now is they get questions and a little bit of pushback from their church friends, and so they're just like, "Hey, why are you making everything about race? What's
Wait,
going on?"
are their church friends Caucasian?
Why, yes,
Okay,
Dwayne, they are.
All right. I'm just curious.
and such. They are engaging with said Caucasian friends on Facebook, which result in 30, 40 comment posts.
God.
And I'm trying to tell them, I'm like, guys,
Get off of
one,
Facebook.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't. Do you have the energy and do you have the time to engage? Because Facebook is not the place to try to change hearts and minds. Like, that that one person that kind of hit you on the side, cool. But like trying to convince a bunch of dudes that are just like, well, I heard he had a knife on the floor of the car. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
I'm good.
yeah, it's what I told them is like what I've done is usually I'll add in like funny gifts. Well, we'll place gifts to break the tension,
Mhm.
but then or I'll just drop in our podcast and be like, yeah, we've been talking about this for the last, I don't know, 6 years. There's 25 podcasts for it. You guys should learn.
Man.
It's like I just don't understand because I read the Black Lives Matter website and they just said that blah 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 blah. Blah. I'm like, a nigga's dead.
Word, I don't know, man. It's just it's mind-boggling. Like people reaching out, asking questions, like, "What do we do? What's going on?" Like, do we live on two? I guess we live in two separate Americas, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the
So,
thing that bothers me the most is like with Colin Kaepernick very blatantly stating, this is why I am protesting during the anthem. This is why I kneel. This is what needs to be changed. Like with Black Lives, same deal with Black Lives Matter. It's like they're anti this, that, and that, and they're like, no, we just want you to stop killing us. Really, that's really the bottom line. That's their whole bottom line.
pretty much.
It is the new millennium civil rights movement. That's really what it boils down to. And it is mind-boggling to me how you can conflate that to mean that other lives somehow don't matter, and that, you need to come up with all lives matter, you need to come up with blue lives matter to like be the antithesis. I'm just like, fam, like those th- no one's arguing that that's already a thing. But do you not see how Black Lives Mattering is not really a thing? Like our lives literally don't matter to any of you. Like
Mhm.
that's really what we're trying to say. That's really
Yeah,
what it
the
boils down to. And if you can't see that that is the long and short of everything that we're saying, like that you can have an RNC where someone comes up to the podium and says racism does not exist in America. I don't know what to tell you. Like I don't know what
Yo,
to like.
Josh, I couldn't even like I try to watch it. I try to be objective and see the other side, but like my blood was boiling watching that. I literally had to watch it in segments. I had to turn it off a few times when people were talking. The RNC.
I believe you.
Yeah, I watched a little bit. It was pretty bad. I mean, I saw someone post up. They're like, black people are the only people in the world that get blamed for being murdered.
Yeah,
I was like, damn, I'm laughing, but it's so true. Like, damn, you get killed. Like, yo, so what'd you do?
it's
Like, wait,
true.
what? Like, man, seriously. But yeah, you know, the the recent stuff with the Jacob Blake, which happened, which also he got shot in the back 7 times. You know,
I
the
still have
children.
not watched that video.
I stopped watching videos since Eric Garner. I haven't watched a video in maybe 3 years. I have no interest in having PTSD and reliving someone else's trauma. I
Yeah.
don't
It
share the
caught me off
video. I
guard.
don't
That's
watch
literally
it.
the only reason I watched it. Like I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
what's this? Oh my god, did
yeah,
they just shoot that guy?" Like that's kind of
yep,
how, like
Well,
over
so
yeah.
breakfast, no less.
so Josh, in your settings, you can go in there and disable automatic play of videos. So when it does pop up, it doesn't play.
It's already been done
Okay.
immediately after that.
Yeah, because I refuse, like, again, to reiterate the sentiments. Like, I'm not trying to see too much of it. And at first, it was more like, oh, let me see what's going on so I can be aware. Now it's just like, yo, it was to the point
It's too
like,
much. Yeah.
yeah, during the peak of the protests, and I was just watching these cops just going ham on protesters. Right,
Mhm.
I literally took the headphones off, went to go meditate because I was so depressed and sad, and it was too much for me to take in.
Mm.
My body was too receptive to that negative energy, and like I just had to take a break. And I took like 2 days from just not looking at any traumatic experience, not only just to my own people, but just to people in general, because the police was wilding out there. So just to
Mhm.
bring it back to what I was saying, it was just like sometimes, man, you just need to take a break from all that energy that's being put out there. I understand we are in a position to be the pillars of our own community and shed light and be aware and whatnot. But even the ones that's trying to be strong are human, and we all need to step away from it just for a tad bit to reset and get that energy out and do whatever you got to do to bring yourself back. Because even myself, I was like, yo, this is too much for me right now. Maybe I'm just a little older and I see things in a different perspective and different light. I had a different fire 20 years ago, but right now I'm just like, man, it's sad, but it's like it's baffling at the same time. I
Mhm.
had no energy for the RNC. I was just kind of going off what people were telling me. I have a whole different opinion about both parties. However, like what they are speaking does nothing for me. Like,
Yeah, and I think that's honestly what it was
yeah,
in general.
That's
Like
just politics. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Even
like
when watching Democrats, you know you're listening to bullshit.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
I think that in general, we can have a whole politics thing like separately, but I think in general, like it was catering to the people. It's like I said, it's almost the same when a musician drops an album. It's like you're catering specifically to your audience. You're not really trying to win new people over. You're just kind of like I have people that rock with me. I'm gonna make something that's specifically for them, and that's kind of like what both conventions were about. And I think the DNC one, check the boxes of things off of it. The RNC one, check those boxes as well. They were doing some wildness, and as well. And the one thing that RNC that is just the random people that popped up, like Herschel Walker, Lou Holtz was
Hold
there.
on.
Like,
So pause. Uh, Herschel Walker is a few crowns short of a kingdom. I've
Yo,
all
I did not know anything about him in his politics or, like, at all. Like, Lou Holtz, I'm not really surprised, but, like, Herschel Walker, I was like, "Wait, what?"
yeah,
And then
Yeah.
and either way, I didn't know. I don't like I said, I don't know his politics, but it was just interesting that he popped up on there, and I was like, "Huh, that's interesting."
Herschel Walker is one of them country strong bumpkins that will kill you by just somebody giving him the word. He is, oh man, why Herschel Walker of all people should not have an opinion on anything political. Like that man is I to me, I look, he dumb as doornails. Like like something wrong with that man. Like
Yeah, it was like I
He did
said,
look
man,
a little
it
touched. He
he
and he
is
had, like
like
he had, like, straight up, like, a jar of Vaseline on his mouth.
there's Terry Crews idiocy, and then there's Herschel Walker, which is a whole different spectrum.
Facts.
But what the worst part though was I think for the RNC, was the fact that they kinda didn't really mention what was going on, like, just the
Mhm.
protest. Like, they mentioned it in the realm of the criminal aspect of it, lawlessness and looting and rioting, but they didn't actually talk about the actual issues that was going down.
Nope.
And so it you know, the picture of America that they were painting was like, you know, the only person that can save you from Trump's America is Trump.
What I found
And it's, like,
hilarious
really interesting.
what I found
Word.
hilarious about the whole thing was they were criticizing the DNC for being doom and gloom, like, just painting this doom and gloom, picture of America, and then all week long was just like, "America needs saving, America needs to be this, I need America," "America won't be this and won't be that," and Biden, like, I get that you have to present an opposing point of view if you support a different party, but the whole if Biden is elected, he's going to take your guns and your and your medical insurance, and just like the level of hyperbole that these cats engage in, to the point of it's hyperbole when you know it's hyperbole, but when it's hyperbole and people believe what you're saying,
Yeah.
there's something deeply, deeply wrong. And there are dudes in the Midwest who are straight up on some Biden ain't taking my gun. Like, damn, nobody wants your gun per se, but we do want you to not use it. Like, like my man who was walking around in Kenosha just,
Yeah,
strolled past the cops on some yo, high five. Here's a bottle of water. You thirsty, tough guy? No? Yeah?
yeah, and
Okay,
I
cool.
think that's
Have a
that's
great
the part
day.
too.
And thanks for your support.
Yeah, that's the part too where it's like, even pulling the out of the politics part and bringing it back to just race in general.
Mm.
Like the fact that this cat was like, "I'm gonna go to this town and join the quote unquote militia to fight back the quote unquote rioters slash protesters,"
Because he
and
didn't
this,
feel safe 2 towns away.
yeah, it's kind of crazy.
My
And like
guy, you don't
he's
live there. You don't live anywhere near
protecting.
where the hot zone is. How do you
I mean,
like, it's not
yo,
coming to your house.
he got to go protect those TGI Fridays, man. What you talking about?
Wow.
Jeez. Jeez.
But that's the thing that
Gotta
was kind
protect
of
Hooters.
crazy. But I think the worst part though, and my foreign friends, they've been hitting me up lately, and like this is from like folks from London, Switzerland, freaking Scotland, and they're just like, "Yo, what the fuck is going on in America? Y'all got fires, hurricanes, racist president, protests, looting, rioting." I'm like, "Yo, man, I'm in the suburbs. I'm good." But like, yeah,
I've
like
been
yeah, you're right.
actively
Now.
I've been actively
Now,
avoiding my international friends because I don't want to have to explain all of it. It's just like, yo, I'm
yo,
sorry I haven't been around and answering WhatsApp calls lately, but yeah. I know at some
yeah,
point
dude.
I'm gonna have to be the voice of like, okay, so this is why this is happening. So I can, and then sit back and basically listen to 3 hours of, yo, Americans are insane. Why do you still live there? Like, I'm worried about you. Could you please just, like, I'll put you up in my room. Like, you have a couch. Just please leave America and come here and be safe.
Yeah. It's crazy too because it's not even about Trump either. It's just beyond it. It's
Yeah, no.
the police shootings. It's
He's the tip of the spear, though.
the climate stuff that's going down.
Mhm.
Like the job situation, COVID shit. They're just like, yo, like what is going? Like you guys, like y'all need help.
And
Like
the
we need
answer is
you
yes.
and care packages to come and like, hey, This is Cam. He lives in the suburbs. He's really down and dilapidated. For only 15 cents a day, you could help him out.
For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you can help Cameron more.
You know what bugs me is that when we have all these tragedies and the picture that is being painted for one person to the next, like when you have like a Tamir Rice or Eric Garner, we always find the negativity into justifying the murder. But when they look at like these terrorists, and it was like, oh, such and such was an aspiring cop, and he got killed. No, fool, he was a terrorist that terrorized people and was murdering people. Let's call a spade a spade. That kind of gets under my skin a lot when I see
Hmm.
the contrast in narratives. Like I think Vice put something up, and I was like, you guys are full of it, dude. Like trying to,
Yeah, Vice. I think New York Post did the same.
yeah, like what's the agenda here? Like let's call these people what they are: murderers, terrorists, not victims.
I believe the term is vigilante.
So they're Batman, like
Basically,
Straight Charles Bronson, yo.
yeah.
yo, that shit is crazy. But I think that's the thing where it's like, and taking it back to my brothers, they were talking about my brother he had posted something about that. Like, yo, man, they freaking shot a dude in front of his kids 7 times in the back. And then the first person was like, well, he was a rapist and he's also a criminal and he's also da 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 da. And then like my brother was like, I just said a dude just got shot in the back in front of his kids. All the other stuff, that could 100% be true. But we're talking about this particular moment right now. Like, did you say that because of those indiscretions, he should be shot like that? The person's like, no, but I think you guys are trying to paint him as a hero. He's like, I didn't say a hero. I just said the dude got shot in front of his kids. Like, that's kind of bad, man. Like,
what what wrinkles
where's the
me what
empathy?
wrinkles me the most
He
is
was paralyzed.
let's
Yeah,
assume the worst. He is all of those things times two, times 10. He's committed 10 rapes, he's committed 10 murders, he's done everything that you think he's done. Does he still not deserve due process? Is he not supposed to be brought in by whatever means are necessary? Not It's not a capture kill order. This is not an assassination mission. You go get the dude so that he can face trial. If he's all the things that you say he is. You don't put 7 in his back because he was in his car and you don't know what he went in for. To me, that's beyond a false equivalency. Like you can't just say because let's say he was a rapist, a murderer, a thief, all of those things, and he's committed 10 of each. Just random. So he's got a rap sheet a mile long, committed 30 crimes, 2 of which are violent. Bet. He's reaching into his car. You still shoot him in the back 7 times? Come on, man. Due process,
yeah.
do and I am comfortable saying blatantly that white people get a very different type of justice. My man Dylan
Oh
Roof
yeah.
went into a church, had the worship service with the worshipers, and then unloaded on the entire congregation.
Can you just imagine that's your last moment? Like you literally
No.
see this dude come into a church, you welcome him, you're gonna welcome him in. Somebody probably said, hey, welcome to the church, blah blah
You
blah.
thank you. Thank you.
And his intention is, yo, I'm just gonna murder everybody in here.
You worship
Yeah,
with
and
this
he
cat,
actually and he
welcome
sat down
welcome
for
him into the fold, and then he unloads his AR-15 on you.
yeah,
Come
he
on,
sat
man.
with them for about 2 to 3 hours. I had this conversation with my dad because, I was when this happened,
That's the
you
definition of
know
evil, y'all.
no, and that's what so me
Yeah.
and my dad were having this conversation about that, and I was just like, "Yo, this dude literally sat with these people in church for 3 hours, sang songs, prayed, chilled out, laughed, cried, whatever. He kills them all, goes home, chills, police come." Now, the whole Burger King thing and shit, whatever, I actually don't care about that part. The
I
part
do.
I care about I actually don't because I'm like, the fact that this dude was taken, took it
Ta-
in custody
yeah.
safely,
Yeah.
transported to the police, and they talked about it. And it was comedy because what my dad was talking about, because I was telling him the reason why we're having this conversation is because they were talking to the families of the people. And then one of the people from the families was like, you know what? You know, God doesn't like anger, and we should, give him grace. And we can, and
Mm,
that's this was my thing with my dad. And so he was talking about, we invite him to church with us and blah blah blah. And I told my dad, I was like, fuck that, dude could burn in hell. And my dad was like, "Well, you should be saying that because of that." I was like, "No, no, no." I was like, "This is the part where I fundamentally disagree with a lot of Christian teachings, specifically when it comes to Black people, because black people are always supposed to give grace to the oppressor when they do something bad to us.
Which is
We're never
bananas.
allowed, yeah, we're never allowed to be mad or be angry or all that. So here is a dude that literally went to the church that people worship at, killed them all with a smile on his face and chilling. And we still were like, hey, you know what? You should come to church with us. We forgive you. Da, 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 da. I was like, I think we kind of deserve, or should, or would be in a nice right to actually be angry for once that someone did something this heinous and this ridiculous. I was like, this shit has been happening to us on different scales for so long, but
Mhm.
y'all are like, that's cool, man. Thanks for shooting me. My bad. Let me give you a hug. It's okay, white person. I know you didn't mean to do it, but it's like we've been being the bigger person for so long
Mhm.
that the fact that we have just a little bit of riot, a little bit of looting, I'm like I think one of the other ladies, she was saying, she's like, y'all are lucky that we want justice and equality and not
And not
fucking revenge,
revenge.
retribution.
Real
You
talk.
know, in the words of the great Samuel L. Jackson, and I quote, "The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the inequities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who, in the name of charity and goodwill, shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers, and you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee." Quote unquote. That's how I feel.
Applause.
Pretty much, man. And then I think the going back to my brothers, the interesting part and is the goalposts always move. It's kind of like, oh hey, black person got killed. Well, he should have complied. Oh hey, black person complied, but he was wearing a hoodie. Oh hey, black person complied was wearing a hoodie, but he had Skittles. Oh, black person complied, but he was wearing a hoodie with Skittles and it had a Snapple. Oh, black person was a child with a play gun. Oh, he looked menacing, and so, oh, black person was in his underwear eating ice cream in his own apartment and he got killed. Well, he should not have been eating underwear, ice cream in his
In his
underwear in
drawers, he should have
his
put
own
on some
apartment.
pants.
Yo, he should have locked his door.
Hey, hey, so the lady that walked into the wrong apartment and shot dude eating ice cream, and I guess they forgave her.
Hmm.
His mom did, yeah, the
I,
family.
Yep.
His
they were
sister. It was
Haitian,
his
right?
sister.
They were
Yes, they
Haitian.
were. They
I
were.
believe
Yep,
so.
Yes.
Yeah.
they were.
I seriously thought they were giving her the kiss of death with the hug. I was like, that's not
Well,
a hug. That's that
Voodoo.
yeah, they
and
putting
then
that juju
also,
on her, bruh.
well, and then to the story doesn't end because she's filed for appeal.
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
And so she just recently applied for, I think it was last month or yeah, early last month or late the month before. But yeah, they filed for appeal to commute her sentence. So she had just sentence her sentence has been served. And her sister was like, "Fuck that!" Like he's like, "Bitch, we hugged you and had told you, blah 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 blah, because we were saying, hey, you got your just desserts. Now you're trying to appeal to get your ass out of jail, like." But
Mhm.
again, this is how it always goes down, where it's like it always feels like black people give grace and tries to be the bigger person, and that's why I kind of give props to Cat Williams' little video that he had earlier, like last this month. I thought that was dope, and he was just being like, "Yo, we are always the better person. We invite you guys to be the better person too, but that's usually out of your guys' realm of possibility." And so, taking it back to my brother stuff, like that was one of the point. I was putting in a bunch of gifts, but then I finally like commented, and I was like, "Yeah, it's really interesting because you guys like literally move the goalposts whenever anything happens with a black person. Like if they get killed, it's somehow their fault.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's true.
Somehow, it's like you should not have been holding those Skittles so tight. Should not have been having that cigarette. Should not have been breathing. Should not have been not breathing. Should not have been kneeling. Should not have been standing. Like I'm not really sure what else. You keep changing the rules on this. Like I'm not sure what we could do.
Yeah, seriously, man. I be like, y'all be wilding, man. I'm tired of being a bigger person, but in different aspects of my life. But I was explaining this to a few people. I was like, we have to be perfect. We cannot be less than perfect, or there
Mhm.
are consequences. I mean, we can go back as recently as the was it Christian Cooper, the bird watcher. If he
Yeah.
had gave any indication of being the aggressive in that video, or not had any video, we'd probably be telling a different story. He'd probably be behind bars. He'd probably be shot for
Mhm.
uh
And
telling.
he forgave the lady. He didn't want to press charges.
Yeah, again, we are showing grace, and sometimes that frustrates me, being human, that we keep having to turn the other cheek, and we don't we're not allowed to grieve. We're not allowed to seek justice. We're not allowed to do this and to get some type of retribution in certain aspects, but others are. They get off scot free, or like they don't get the full brunt of the repercussions that follow such said crimes or things that have been done in such nature. Because when it's done to us, there is no leniency.
Nope.
But having it the other way, it's always like, oh well, there's certain circumstances that,
It's extenuating circumstances
yeah,
for
like
sure.
it's wild to me, man. And I'm just like, I'm kind of, I'm tired of it, and when Malcolm said, when they asked him about the Kennedy murder, he was like, "Was the chickens coming home to roost?" Like sometimes I don't be feeling any sympathy. Like there was somebody that got shot in Portland. He was a known like agitator, for the oppressor, and
Hmm.
he was against black women. But when he got shot, it was a black woman trying to save his life. Now I don't know the details. You guys can Google it. But a guy lost his life in Portland during some protest. But it was ironic that it was a black woman trying to save him. I just
Mm.
found that very interesting. But yeah, here we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, and then so with that, you saw the especially with Jacob Blake, you saw the protesters breaking out, and then this happened when the protests started to roll into the NBA, and then that was when the Milwaukee Bucks were just like, "Yo, we're not playing today, taking a day off," and then it kind of spread to the whole where all the games that day got canceled, and then that also spread to the other, MLB did it. Naomi Osaka, it was in tennis.
Hmm.
She did it as well, and it was interesting that the again, the typical backlash is always just like, hey, you guys getting paid millions of dollars, y'all need to shut the fuck up and just play. And so it was interesting to see that where, that day of kind of solidarity, they did. NBA was a little bit different than the other ones where they actually, the NBA players, the players union actually did meet with NBA and kind of broke down, hey, this is what, you guys want us to play for the rest of the playoffs? Cool. These are the things that we would want to do. And, part of those things was, using the arenas to be polling stations for this upcoming election, um, and a few other things. I thought that was actually pretty good because it kind of showed that instead of just doing
Why?
the
Why? Why?
typical.
Why is it? Why don't we get a day off? How's that not a rule yet for election day?
For what?
I
Election
can
day,
tell you.
like
Mm.
get it.
You want the official answer, or you want the real answer?
Let's let's go with the official answer.
The official answer is
Hmm.
to take a day off in the United States. It would shut down too much businesses and lose loss of money and revenue.
Hmm.
And the real answer,
The real answer,
Pre-COVID, I'd have been like, yeah, maybe okay, but sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The real answer basically comes to if all the poor people actually will vote, then we'll have some problems, man.
There we go. Ding,
That's
ding,
all
ding.
it is.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was, what the funny part about voting is the presidentship. Not even talking about that. This is completely separate of that. I'm just talking about in just in terms of voting in general.
mm,
And the reason why people get there is a thing where again we live in I live in California now. Like my vote, especially when it comes to like electoral shit, that's a whole stupid thing. But in terms of voting, is specifically the the biggest trick that America's done really well is that they've really poor people don't realize that they're poor. So they really believe that they're like two steps away from being a Jeff Bezos, but not realizing they're like half a step away from being homeless on in Tent Row and Skid Row. And so if people that all were in the same class and economic situation bounded together and actually moved as a unit, they could overthrow all the rich people because there's not that many rich people. I think that's the part that people don't really understand. So in your local elections and all that kind of shit, if everybody actually voted, then shit would be a lot different. But because people that vote, and this is sad, but the majority of age of vote is in that 40s, late 40s to almost early 50s realm on average. So then, of course, they're going to vote with their interests, which usually, is not necessarily for the quote unquote working class or whatever. It's like in that nice middle class to upper middle class realm. So again, when other countries, yeah, they're voting. They're like, yeah, the voting is a national holiday. We should all
Mhm.
have a national holiday. Here, they're like, I don't know, man. I gotta give you 30 minutes to vote. You better get back before your shift starts.
I don't know. Maybe different companies do it different way, but my company that I work for currently does allow you to leave work and just call it a
Mhm.
day and go vote. So
Yeah, a lot of companies, and I think the better, the forward thinking companies are like that, where they they're open about that, like, yo, dog, whatever it takes, the goats. But then now look at all the people that are in the more of the retail jobs.
Yeah. To
mhm.
me, it should be a national holiday.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it should be in that for them because that's the thing.
Yeah.
like for instance, for Cam's company, that's freaking dope because they're proactive about that. They're like, yo, voting's important. We want you to make sure you guys all have that. But then for a lot of the other people that are in those other like more like I said, retail service industry jobs, they're like, oh, you want to take a day off to vote? Cool, you could do that. We ain't paying you.
Hmm.
They're completely cool about that. They're just like, "Yo, you can vote. We're not saying you shouldn't vote, but we're just saying you ain't getting paid for that hour or those 2 hours." And so a lot of people look at that, or a good example is like in Georgia, where my dad's family's from. They when they were voting for this past election last year, they were waiting in line literally for 4 hours, and they're in their 60s, just sitting there and freaking in the in November trying to vote, and it take 4 hours to do that because all the polling places had gotten closed. So it's like the people that are usually in power, it actually makes for them it's easy. It's easier to limit the restriction of how to vote, so that people usually just give up. And so that's kind of the reason why all the older black people get all upset when people talk about, oh, I don't vote, and they're just like, what, we died for this and blah 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 blah. Like the reason being is because like for them voting back then was such a big deal that we're so callous about it. We're just kind of like, meh, we don't care about voting, and this is even not counting the president stuff. I'm talking about just local stuff. And
Right.
so that's why they get upset. And that's why I understand. Like I understand both whys. Like why would you vote and why wouldn't? But I think sometimes it's like there needs to be more of a commonality where we're just like, yo, the whole country, like, yo, just voting the day to vote, fucking national holiday. Yo, everyone get out there, and then I think that would actually change a lot more in a faster way. But instead, you got a lot of old white people that vote, and they're just like, f them niggas.
Well, also anytime there's a high voter turnout, statistically speaking, it always favors Democrats. Always. Early voting, voting by mail, absentee ballots, when those are in high numbers, those always favor Republicans. So in essence, any argument that you hear against not making election day a national holiday with everybody off typically is something that's opposed by Republicans. You will never hear a Democrat say, "Nah, nah, nah. I don't think they should have. I don't think people should have the day off to vote." They know what the deal is. Anytime that there's high voter turnout, anytime in the last, I think what I read was either 10 or 20 years. Anytime you can pick a year, blindfold yourself and point and pick a year. It always favors Democrats. Anytime there's a high voter turnout.
I think it should become a topic where these companies, like how they're making people wear masks. So like Walmart should be like, hey, guess what? Election day, we're closing our store. And I think that would start kind of steamrolling it. You see how they just made June 19th. A lot of companies were kind of observing it. Like I
Mm.
feel like that's something that should happen as well with these with the election day. Just if you, I mean, if you believe in politics, if you don't, that's a different story. But just to have that, you know what I mean, like that moment or that chance to go kind of cast your vote will make a whole world of difference if you ask me.
Well, it's about empowerment, and we can't have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's the I try I keep it more on the local level as opposed to the presidential stuff because that's just a whole other thing. But yeah, I think on that aspect of
That
it, I
too.
think
That's so true. Yeah.
yeah, because the presidential part of it, literally the electoral college is the reason why things are as pretty fucked up as it is in
Mhm.
terms of about hearing the people vote, quote unquote. Now, whether you like each person doesn't really matter to me, but the electoral college really is fucking horrible, and the whole history behind that is stupid. But on a local level, yeah, like that's the thing about what's interesting now is because of the COVID and all that kind of stuff, people are actually home and they actually could like sit and stew and think about half this shit, and they're like, yeah, how come we're like the most powerful country in the world, but then we can't fucking handle ourselves in terms of the COVID
Wait,
shit?
are we the most
Oh,
powerful country in the world?
sadly, we still are in terms of nuclear power and
Just
monetary.
militarily
China's
speaking.
about China's about to eclipse us on the money tip. Military and nuclear power, yeah, we're still number one, but for everything else, we're like 17th.
Yeah,
How are we? Wait,
China
again.
and Saudi Arabia own so much of our debt that it's ridiculous.
Yeah, China and Saudi Arabia,
Like they
yeah.
own
Like so,
our economy, technically speaking.
so we still got all the toys in terms of military shit, but everything else, yo, China's been buying up so much. It again, you can go into the economics of it, but like that's why I think the American exceptionalism, that aspect of it, has been eroded, and this past 6 months has been great. Not I don't want to say great, but interesting to see that now your common person is starting to be like, "Hey, wait, I guess we aren't really that great. We can't even handle these basic shit." And I think we've been knowing this as minorities and black people. We're like, "Yeah, this country's fucked up," but then the average person is like, "I mean, it's not that bad." And then now they're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Well,
oh shits."
the comparison is like, would you rather be here or over there? I'm like,
I'm like,
I-
actually,
yeah,
I was gonna say, these
Right.
days, let me tell you
my
something.
my
My mom was in Trinidad when everything popped off. That week that the NBA shut down, and the following week that that New York got locked down, and then the rest of the country kind of a large chunk of the country followed suit. I cannot tell you how many people were like, "Why doesn't she just stay there?"
For real.
Like everyone that I talked to, oh, my mom's out of town. She's just taking care of some stuff with the family house out in Trinidad. And like, yo, so she's staying, right?
seriously,
Dude, I'm
seriously.
working on my dual citizenship, so yeah. As soon as I get a chance to leave this country, I am, man.
You need a chef.
And a security
Sous chef.
guard.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's kind of crazy, man. Because I mean, again,
Uh,
what's I was trying to explain this to another one of my white friends. I was like, look, out of everything that's going on, it's still better to be a black man, or I should say person, in America at this exact moment than literally any other times the previous 500 years, and we're still in trouble.
Hmm.
Like, that's the craziest part. Like, right now is the best time to be a black person, and we still have all these things that we still got to go through and do all that stuff. And so that is the most interesting aspect of it too. And then the fact that, again, going back to the whole justice and revenge or whatever, it's just like we all these things happen to us, and we still persevere and start to become greatness, and create things, and overcome obstacles and all that crap. So that's crazy. Imagine if we had the a smidgen of the white privilege that those people have. Shit.
hmm.
Fucking build it. Oh, we'll build our own nation.
Oh yeah. Hold on. So we were talking about starting our own thing, right? And y'all remember when Kyrie was like,
Mm,
let's get our
mm-hmm,
own
Hmm.
league,
NBA, yeah.
and
mm-hmm.
I said I'm with it, and then I'm in multiple chats. I'm hearing a lot of backlash because Kyrie's he's a special case. He's a eclectic young man, and they really thought he was the Riddler trying to plot against Gotham by saying let's start our own league. And the whole reason behind that is because we understand what the language America speaks, and that's money. And if they're not trying to hear us on these social issues, the game is meaningless because at the time of what's been going on, but there was an intense attention on black people getting killed by cops, and people was like, I don't want to play. Like the NBA is not doing enough. A lot of people was like, what is the NBA going to do? We understand they're not going to change legislation, but they have a lot of money and a lot of sway. And like I said, if you stop their money, somebody's going to listen because that's the way the world works right now. And Kyrie was like, let's just take our our skill set and start our own stuff, and we don't have to play by the rules because, like I said, at the end of the day, y'all not paying money to go see Kyle Korver and Gordon Hayward uh, play 40 minutes a game. Y'all trying to see Kyrie, LeBron, and all the basically black people. Black people run the league. If all the black people said we done in every major sport and wanted to start their own thing, and a lot of ego for this to happen, there's a lot of things needs to happen. Put the right people in place. Blah blah blah. Things will probably change because the leagues will fold. I mean, a majority of the sports leagues are run by us. We have the power. And to sit here and see that one day, recently the NBA had a protest. I'm segueing here, and I was with it. Like I didn't want the players to play the season. Just shut it down. Let's focus on real life matters. Because we done the like people's like, oh, it makes more sense to play because you can bring awareness. I was like, we've been doing that. We had the hoodies, we had to sneak the message on the shoes. We
To
had
me, those don't mean anything, but go ahead.
no, yeah, they don't mean
Yeah,
anything. I
yeah,
get it.
yeah.
And I was like, we already done that.
Hmm.
So what now can we do? Let's just not play. Let's worry about the real like let's have us focus on the real issues. I said, let's keep it 100%. Y'all really don't care about your issues. Y'all just want to find an escape and just watch basketball. Y'all not
Hmm.
really trying to have these difficult conversations. And I get it. If you want to watch basketball, just say that. But don't front and say, well, it's going to be better if you go through the NBA. No, it's not. Because what just happened? Dude, another guy got shot and we still playing games. You know what I'm saying? And we not talking about the protests as much. All of that kind of died down. I like as a black man, we don't have time to stop making moves, stop being aware. You guys can, but we can't because at the end of the day, we're still a black person living in America, and we still have to face these facts of dealing with this oppressive system, dealing with the hypocrisy of America, and et cetera, et cetera. So when they said, "Hey, let's stop the games," I was like, "Yo, I'm with it. Let's do it." Plus, it felt different because I'm a Laker fan, so we are in a good position to win it. But I didn't even care at that point. I was like, they been should have done that. But whatever that was, the boycott, strike, protest, it was funny to me. I mean, it was cool. I thought they were going to really make some moves, but I guess something happened. I'm kind of mad about it. I'm not going to comment too much on that. I thought real moves was going to be made, but I don't think real moves were going to be made. It's just more of like, okay, the money stopped. Let's make some amends to the people. Let's throw them a bone. We're going to put our money into this and this and this. And you still got people coming up with that same rhetoric. It was like, but what good would not playing do? I'm like, the power is in our hands. Like, we don't play. Y'all get to pay attention to something else. We don't need sports. We're not here for your entertainment. We're here to survive. If just because I make a billion bucks doesn't mean I still can't go through the rigors of somebody that's not as popular as me, you still get shot the same. Bullets don't discriminate.
Yeah.
So in a perfect world, just playing devil's advocate,
Yeah.
um, the players start playing. You were opposed to that. They stopped playing for a couple of days to protest. What would you have liked to have seen come out of that?
I want people to realize that, like, we don't need basketball. There's
No,
bigger
actionable,
issues.
actionable. I get the larger
Oh,
picture of it.
actionable?
We're
Like I
all in
said,
agreement. Yeah, but
the
actionable
whatever the
action
NBA
steps.
can do financially to put their money in programs to advocate either police reform or protecting communities or educating black, it's just, I don't know, I don't have all the answers, but I understand.
No, no, no.
But this is
I
what
was
I
just curious.
yeah, this is what I do know.
Mm.
Us playing basketball is not going to solve anything either, and that's just a distraction because what people are not aware of, what I find in common conversations, is like, I just wasn't knowing. I'm like, how you not knowing in today's age? Like, the NBA is not the place for you to become aware because you see a sneaker that was some name that got shot, or I can't breathe. If that's not making you aware, then we don't need to be playing. Like, suffer in silence.
Yeah, I think the other aspect of it too, that the strike that they did for that one day, um, I get it
2 days.
because
It was 2
yeah,
It was two,
was it 2
yeah.
days?
It was two.
Yeah.
2 days?
Yeah.
It was 48 hours. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, but the one thing that I'm starting to, and I think this is something that we as Black people can have a better understanding of, is most of these white people legit don't think about anything about our issues if they don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, because of that, like, the players actually striking for a day, for 2 days, that is the first time they're like, "Wait, wait,
Yeah,
why aren't they
like, hold
playing?
on, yeah.
Oh,
Who's
oh,
Jacob?
wait,
Who? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh, someone got shot?"
Yeah.
And it's funny because someone was like, "Hey, don't give them the benefit of the doubt." I'm like, "No, I'm not getting the benefit." I'm like, some people maliciously are like, "I don't give a fuck," but then there's other people that legit just don't fucking care and don't they're not uh they don't on a daily basis sitting there thinking like, "Oh, I wonder what black person got shot today." Like, they're not their whole life. They could go a whole day without even thinking about black people at once, and that's not an aberration, Where for us, we're always in a situation where race is probably in the forefront, and so there's a whole swath of America that, like, they're like, "Oh yeah, those rioters, yeah, why are they writing for it? That's messed up. Why are they bombing like buildings?" Oh, anyways, so and they'll just keep it moving. So the players actually doing that probably did shine a light on what was happening more than your average. And to Cam's credit, though, like he said, what's those actionable problems, things that will help later. And the NBA and the players union, they came to some concessions. I think that could be interesting. I'm more interested to see a check in like a month and see if those things actually came, especially in the election situation. Like, if the team arenas do turn into voting locations all around the country, that's a pretty big
That's a
deal.
start.
That Yeah, that's a great start, because honestly, that I would have never thought that would ever happen in my lifetime.
Hmm.
Just because what owner is like, "Oh yeah, yeah, you guys can use my arena, sure, no problem." Like, and not get no money at not no monetary gain for themselves. You know?
Yeah, because like the running joke is if all black people stop working, economy will fall down.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
Same
you
with
just like Josh asks, is like, what's the strategy behind it? Like, what are we doing? Like, I'm happy they did kind of stop playing and brought attention, but it's like, what's the end game here? You know what
yeah.
I mean?
So us in this circle, we're not this. We're not the brain trust. There are people smarter than us that can figure this out. Like they're probably voices that are not heard.
No, I mean it could come from us.
Yeah, I mean,
It
I
could
don't
start as
know.
a tweet, and
Yeah,
people could tweet it to LeBron James. You never know. It could come from us.
yeah, because what we do know is that messages on shirts, sweaters, and hoodies, and songs and dance in the NBA ain't working.
No.
So us playing, we've been playing through all this hardship. It's not working. So let's
You
try a different
do you
approach.
do have to remember it is a business though. You
No,
are
I get it.
you're making a check, you're making money, you
Yeah.
signed the contract. So if they did what Kyrie did, you have your own business, you have your own people in charge, it's a different story.
So,
But
but when Kyrie said it, people thought he was crazy, and I'm like, why is that
Mhm.
crazy?
Yeah.
because he said the earth was flat. So anything he says, people
But yeah, so
they're
yeah, but
gonna
but I'm
take
saying when he yeah, but when he said that, and you really think about it, it's like, why not? Like,
yeah.
why can't we do it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like saying,
Nah, you're right.
be your own businessman, right? Be your
Mhm,
own
Yeah.
black businessman. Take ownership. Blah blah blah. Right? Be
mhm.
Jay Z. And Kyrie came with a similar approach. Obviously, there has to be some details ironed out, but like I said, people laughed him off like he was just out of this realm crazy. I'm like, no, why not? How come we can't? We just saw it, the big three.
And
Ice Cube has
I
his
think
league.
yeah, and I think the reason being is unfortunately in our community, we're a large I'm not gonna say everyone, but a large swath of us are monkey see, monkey do. And that being and so when someone says a grandiose idea, like, yo, we should just start our own league, people like, ha ha ha, how you gonna do that? Da, 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 blah, blah, blah. And like you said, Ice Cube was like, they went where they in the third season right now?
Yeah,
And then
Third or
each
fourth,
and
yeah.
yeah, and each season they're getting more players, they're getting more deals,
I
and
think
like
they got a
it's starting to
CBS
slow
contract now.
yeah, like it's starting to grow and I think that's dope. But unfortunately, they'll the default is to shoot shoot them or poke holes and be a detractor as opposed to lift them up and being like, yo, really?
Hey,
All right, that's freaking
so
I
dope.
I'm
mean,
gonna say this.
we are not a race of I hate to say that we're not a race of doers, but I think the average person doesn't always see possibility. And I fall prey to that as much as the next person. You know what I
Let me
mean? Like,
piggyback off that, Josh, too.
go.
Uh, so I felt the same way about Bernie. That people looked at Bernie and was like, he's too radical, too left field. He'll never win. Even though they
Mm.
might have, in their heart of hearts, felt that he should be the candidate. They went with who they felt would win based on the situation given and
dude,
the system
that,
stretched
that
set up.
shit feel rigged to me. But go ahead, yo.
Yeah, I just felt like some people went there and was like, yeah, I like what Bernie's saying, but there ain't no way in hell he gonna get elected with these type of views
Mhm.
because of what we're used to, because we don't believe. Maybe
Yeah.
if we did put our vote behind Bernie or somebody of a better quality candidate, we wouldn't be in this position. But that's just a segue with about Kyrie. People thought he was crazy. They
Yeah.
don't think it could happen, and they just don't believe, and they didn't want to try it. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the thing about someone was telling me, they're like, yo, it's really crazy that a radical idea is to have $15 minimum wage.
And that's not
Like he
nearly
was like,
enough.
and he was like, but that's what he was saying. Like, but my friend was like, and he was just like, yeah, it's really crazy because you're like, someone was like, oh, Bernie, all these like lefty socialist ideas, and then my friend was like, yeah, but like $15 minimum wage, making sure people got health care doesn't seem too crazy. If you think about it. Like
Well,
it's like, yeah,
so
but
a
the
couple
system and da 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 da.
and a couple of economic points to sort of piggyback on that. Number one, the cost of living has gone up dramatically since $15 an hour was actually a livable wage. Like, it's completely outpaced the original introduction of $15 an hour being a livable wage anywhere. Let's not even mention New York because New York's economy is kind of bananas, and a decent one bedroom apartment is like 3 G's on the real.
Crazy.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
New York?
between two and three. Yeah, like a
New York,
decent
yeah.
sized one that's not like some box
Definitely
that's
not
like
coming
that
back.
you can fit your sneakers in the doorway and then that's it. Yeah. So that's point number one. Point number two, I don't remember when I don't remember what year it was that I saw this report, but basically the poverty line, at least for New York, I don't remember if it's national or just for New York, but I want to say it was just for New York. The poverty line is $14,000, 14 and some change a year. Let's call it 14.5, just to give it an extra bump. So you mean to tell me that
Mm, mm.
$14,000 a year $14,000 a year is the poverty line, and anything below that, you're considered impoverished. Anything above that, you may not qualify for social services. You may not, I don't know, you may not qualify for food stamps, and you're not considered poor, frankly. So
Jeez.
so consider
Oof.
that 14 grand a year is nowhere even near $15 an hour if you're making 14 grand a year. I don't remember what the math breaks down to per week or per hour,
Oof.
but
Oof.
you're nowhere near that.
Oof.
That's crazy.
Dude. Yeah, no, but in they the way that it's funny, it goes, way the system's set up is, you know, either you're poor, poor, or you're like working poor. If you're working poor, they're like, "Ah, you got it." But if you're like poor, poor, they're like, "Okay, here's some services, here's things, but don't do drugs. Don't freaking don't steal nothing. Don't do nothing. Don't mess up. Oh, you got a job? Cool. Let's take all those benefits away. But I just got this job. Like,
Mm.
nah, it's cool. You got a job now. You don't need money. And so it's such a crazy thing where it's like this, and this what's even crazier is when people talk about like say welfare and those aspects of it. There's more white people on welfare than there are black people. Yet the way they show it and how they present it usually is the minorities are the ones that are quote unquote, sucking at the teat of the government. Whereas it's like there's more white people than there are black folks, and there are more white people on welfare than there are black people.
So check
And
it.
so,
The math on the quote I just gave you. 14.5 a year is $278.84 a week.
Dude,
Oof.
how
Which
how much is a Metro card right now? A
MetroCard is
one way, yeah, a one
275
way.
one way.
Jesus,
what? Oof,
dude,
That
Oof.
you gotta
number
walk to work.
that 278.84 rounds down to $6.95 an hour. So you have to be making below $7 an hour to be considered below the poverty line.
What job is that?
Well, just jobs and I couldn't even begin to fathom what job pays $6.95
I
an
don't even
hour.
think that's an internship.
Son,
Man.
that's something I could make in high school during the summertime, but like,
Exactly.
there's no way you can pay an adult that.
And there are people who are working 3 jobs making this dough.
Gee.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there was I think it was either it was one of the speakers at the RNC. That's what they were saying. They were like talking about, this woman is working 3 jobs to make ends meet and blah blah blah. And then one commentator was like, "Well, there's a problem there. Why is she working
Why
three
is she working
jobs?
3
If
jobs?
we
Why is
can't,
that a
if
requisite?
like if we it's like if we can't as a society say, hey, we should have this level so that everyone can work one job so that they can pay for bills and that kind of stuff. Like that's the problem, not the part that you're like, she's struggling out here. It's like, dude, what the fuck?
Jeez.
And so, but that's that mentality too, because you have that mix of, you're pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, but then also at the same time, are you accountable? Do you need, like there's just so many layers to it, and then the rhetoric makes it worse. And so it's you demonize, being poor, but then to get out of being poor, you don't get you will won't get the help that you would need to get out of that.
Dog, I
So
cannot believe what I just found online. So I looked up the poverty line 2019 poverty line guidelines for the 48 contiguous states of the United States of America and the District of Columbia. Take a guess what the poverty line is right now.
I don't even want to. This entire episode is making me upset, but go ahead. Somebody got this.
12,000 for one person, $12,490.
oof,
Mm-mm.
For two
that
people,
is
$16,910. For 3 people, $21,330. Now, when I looked it up, I was working at United Way at the time, so that was part of our, Give to United Way. We help people who we help people, impoverished people, people in need, whatever, whatever, whatever. And part of part of our please give speech was quoting the poverty line saying, "Look, this is where people are, and you make more than that. You could give a couple of dollars. You give $20 and not even notice it missing." And that might make the difference between somebody making, their end of the Section 8 rent they have to pay or
It's
something
crazy, man.
something bananas like that.
Yeah.
So 3 people, let's assume single parent, 2 kids. That household, the poverty line for that household is $21,330 in 2019.
Whew.
My guy, what are we doing?
Whew.
What are we doing?
Whew. Crazy. Crazy.
What are we
But
really doing?
unfortunately, without understanding those knowledges and aspects of things,
Mhm.
that's how things stay in that same aspect of it. So you, if you are in that situation, you're trying to get out of it. But then if you're not in that situation, your average person doesn't know what the poverty line is. The average person doesn't know what the medium income line now is about. I think it's like
And how
65,
do
I
you
think, or
get out of
60.
that? Like the things
Yeah.
that you would need to do to climb out of that situation. It's not as simple as, oh, people taking handouts and what have you. Let's assume this person is on every social service available to them. It's not a given that because you have those tools available to you at that price point, at that amount of money a year, there's no assumption that that person is going to be able to develop skills or go take some course that's going to be able to boost their resume so that they can get the next job, so they can pay for a course to pay for the to get the next job, to pay for this next course to boost their resume to get the next job. Like there's no there's no outlet, there's no way out of that, or there's no easy way out of that, I should say.
And I think that's the aspect that Cam was saying too about more of the actionable items. And so I think the coming back to it where it's like, you know, on one point you have, okay, cool. They're starting to, there's some awareness there. Cool. Now with the awareness, what you gonna do? And I
Right.
think that's the aspect of it that you know, by making the arenas available for voting, that helps.
Hmm.
By, they're starting to put together like a it's supposed to be like social justice kind of coalition with like players and owners and some other stuff. So, like that's official part of the NBA. Like they're trying to do things like that. I'm like, that's actually pretty dope. At least they got some type of thing because we all know that each individual players do their own things, or some of them combine it. Whether it's LeBron, whether it's the middle guys, like they all kind of do their own things in their own communities. But I think it's going to be more of a collective thing. And I think the I'm actually curious to see if any players have actually invested in Ice Cube's big three, or is it just more like they're still kind of like there's a couple investors, but there's not other players that are like, yo, this is dope. We should all like support this because. I remember I watched the finals for the big three, and it was funny because everybody was moving slower, but I was like, "Yo, this is actually not that bad. It's kind of entertaining."
I mean, I don't think they're allowed to invest while they're employees of the NBA. Like you
Yeah,
can't. I'm sure
yeah,
there's some clause in their
Legal,
contract.
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
some sort of
Well, taking
non-compete
that
clause.
so NFL, but you guys saw how The Rock just bought the XFL
Yeah.
with investors. That's to me is an interesting move because I'm really curious to see what him and his investors and I think his business partner, his longtime business partner, she is a
His
owner as
ex
well.
his ex-wife, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
X, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, so they're both owners in it. So I'm really curious to see what what changes that they're going to be doing that's going to be different. Like again, why me as a football player, of course NFL is the pinnacle, but why would I go to the XFL? Like is there something that's going to be beneficial to me that's different that gives me a better chance of living and that kind of stuff sustainable, all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Well,
I'm
I think if you
curious
can't get into
curious
the
to see.
NFL, XFL is the next. It's almost like the G League almost. Like you can still
Yeah.
make a
Yeah.
decent wage. You can still, make a decent living for yourself and eke out a career doing what you love and what you're physically gifted to do. Just you're not making ridiculous, guaranteed contracts with the
True.
with ridiculous endorsements and what have you.
Yeah, man. I'm curious, dude. I'm definitely. I think taking more ownership of things like that is a way to start to
Mhm.
change things on a larger scale because I think a lot of the people now the like the Jordans and the Kobe's and all them like they're the ones they kind of started laid that foundation of doing things beyond just basketball, and I think now that's almost the norm now with how Chris Paul's been moving, how LeBron's been moving in terms of making their own production companies, making their own businesses, starting
Everybody's
to
a
do things.
brand.
Yeah, but I mean, it's smart because they're all realizing that my basketball time is very limited. So let me make my dough, get my brand into a certain level. Then when I leave, then I have different avenues that I can give back and do my own thing. And I think that's actually pretty dope because now they're not dependent on the NBA for their main livelihood. Because we all have those. We've seen all the stories of all the former players that are broke now and
Hmm.
can't do shit or whatever. And so I think this is something that could be in a positive light where like they can start to collectively do some dope stuff.
Didn't
That's
they
my thing.
didn't they work in a pension plan for former players in the latest CBA agreement?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe
In the
so.
NBA?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
There's
reading
yeah.
something about
So,
that.
but yeah, I think
But look at how
I
many
don't know.
dudes have fallen to the wayside between now and then.
Yeah, exactly. So hey, fellas, this has been really depressing and awesome. Just wanted to put that out there.
Mhm.
Oh. I'm over here writing a script of a movie right now, listening to what y'all talking about.
Sign of the times, dog.
I'm
Sign of the
dead
times.
serious. I'm literally writing a movie right now. I just got an idea from what we were just speaking about. So
Okay, what you need to do is make sure there's a part where a bunch of music artists drop albums, but don't tell nobody.
True. True.
Segue.
Yeah, yeah.
It's pro right there. I'm saying that's 5 years in.
there you go.
that was
150 plus episodes, man.
Exactly.
That's how you do that. That's how you do that.
that
Yeah,
was that was hand over hand. That was a hand over hand steering turn. Yes.
exactly. And in the more positive news, folks. Yeah, we had a few artists drop some albums lately. Nas dropped one in on the 21st, if I believed.
Yep.
The Locks dropped one. Black Thought dropped a song. Um, who else dropped some music? Jasmine
You said
Sul-
Emily King,
Emily
Jasmine
King, Jasmine
Sullivan.
Sullivan. I haven't heard
Tony
everything, but
Braxton dropped something.
Tony Braxton dropped something. We just had the Monica
A
versus.
full album? Tony
Yeah,
Braxton, a full album?
Yep,
Oh shit.
I need to double check that, but I think
I believe
it's an
so.
album.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Um,
crazy.
I put on Twitter a little tongue in cheek. I was like, whoever helped write Black Thought's verse, they deserve a raise. But
Wow.
The
uh,
disrespect.
no, I'm on the side. Like I've been in writers' room. I too used to partake in the culture a little bit. But as I was saying to some folks, I was like, if you ever been in a writers' room, there's always somebody throwing a line here or there. That's not necessarily saying that a
Yeah, yeah,
person helped you write a bar. Now, there's definitely some times where a person has wrote somebody's whole uh, bar and lyric and whatnot. But Black Thought was having some controversy. That's a whole different story. But there was some controversy about Black Thought not writing his lyrics. That's kind of hard to believe. But what I can take from that is that maybe Black Thought got a line, ran with it, and then built off of it. That's fair game. That's no one's gonna think otherwise about
Yeah,
him.
you didn't write
But
anything. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
but he came out with a song, and again, Black Thought has set a new standard for being just awesome and dope, and just being a dope lyricist in general. That's something worth checking out. I listened to the Nas album, and I went in with low expectations because Nas always disappoints me with bust out ass beats. However, he worked with Hit Boy. Hit Boy is Hit Boy is good, and when he's good, it's really good. However, this album isn't like classic Nas, but it's
Mm.
really good. It's very enjoyable. I can listen to the whole album. Az is still masterful behind the pen and pad. We got a Foxy, that basically the firm minus
Yeah.
Nature, but with the original Cormega.
Yep.
Yeah, like
That was,
it was a good
that was,
album.
that was actually surprising when I heard Comega on it. I was like, oh
And
shit.
Anderson .Paak's song is dope too. Anderson
Yeah,
.Paak
Yeah,
was dope.
I
yeah.
think I like I personally like when a producer and a rapper collaborate to have some type of cohesion.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I like that trend that's been happening over the last 4 to 5 years
Hmm.
because I think then you have a then you I noticed that it either works or it doesn't.
Mm.
And when
Yeah.
it works, it's super dope. And if it doesn't, then you're like, hey, it didn't work. But at least they've
See the Kanye and Nas album that did not.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, exactly. Or a good example is Freddie Gibbs and Madlib. That shit was dope. Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist. It was cool. It wasn't bad, but just didn't have. I didn't feel it had the same level of the Madlib one. But I like that trend that more artists are finally just being like, "Yo, let's work together." Whether the producer makes every beat or if they're just executive producing and kind of overseeing it, I think that trend should. I hope that trend happens more because it leads to more artists having more cohesive work.
Yeah,
And
it
then
feels old school when people used to work with the same artist. You would go in
mhm,
and like you write your album and like, yeah, like you said, there's a cohesiveness where you're talking to somebody, you're building off, you're building chemistry, which doesn't
yeah.
happen anymore. Now people
Nope.
are mailing you lyrics, mailing you the beats. Which, real quick, I don't mean to cut you off, but I have a question for the room. Do we live in an age now where you cannot make a classic album? Like, I don't know when
What's
was it. What was the last classic album you heard?
what's an album?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
What's the last album that you could say is classic? And I think the reason why you can't use that term anymore is because we live in such a microwave society.
Hmm.
Well, yeah,
I
nobody
agree.
really buys albums anymore. Like you can literally go on your streaming service of choice and pluck out what songs you like off of a particular project and call it a day. Like nobody's sitting there buying your buying the skit that you decided to throw in for your concept album.
Well, like I gotta give it like come back to albums 5 years. I'm the type of dude that'll listen to an album from 20 years ago 10 times in my car just because I feel like I haven't listened to it right. Um, but there was a few albums that dropped. Blue and Exile dropped a album called Miles. Sky Zoo dropped one. Uh,
Would you call them classic? Like the to me, the last classic album I probably heard was it might be Kendrick's Damn, and that was like 2017.
no, I
Mm,
mean I won't call these albums classic. I'm just gonna see how they last the test of
how
time, and
they
then I can
age.
revisit. Yeah, how they age.
yeah, I think that's what it is. I think now it's less about classics and more about is it timeless or is it last that test of
Yeah,
time?
and I think that attributes to it being classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
If you
Good
ask me
point.
what the last classic album I listened to, fuck, hell if I know. I like the Pimp a Butterfly. I don't know if I would consider it a classic. It's just one of my favorite Kendrick albums, just because the direction it went. Oh
I
man,
call
that's
that a
something.
classic.
Yeah, I don't know. I was living in the moment. You know what I'm saying? I was saying Kendrick was the greatest rapper alive, and I probably was bugging, but
I mean, when he drops another album, you're gonna say it again. So
I mean, if it hits, you
I
know what I'm
yeah,
mean,
saying?
yeah, yeah.
I was on the Jay Electronica tip when he had Jay-Z feature on 80% of the songs. I like the album.
That
Like
was a great album. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not a bad album. I was feeling it. I feel like now that I
that'll age
come
well.
back to it, I don't know if it will age well. There are like 5 songs that I will listen to every time I put that album. And there's songs I don't need to hear them. Like I listen to Run the Jewels. They make good music, but I'm good with just listening to them one time and I'm moving on. Um,
I played
but
their album today, and I know I play when I go
The
jogging. But
yeah,
no, you're
I
right
think the
though.
reason why I thought about that is because when you said Nas is not a classic album, like I don't feel like it has enough time for us to say. You know what I mean? Like it's too early to say it's a classic album or not.
there
Yeah.
was
I mean,
times there
you
was
but
no
there are
there,
things
there,
that you can definitely point to and say, "Yo, that's an instant classic." Like that's gonna
That's
mhm,
why
go
I'm
down
asking.
for the
yeah.
decades.
What's the last classic album you guys heard within the past like
I'll
year?
say this,
Mm.
Dwayne. My litmus test for defining a classic album is not as sharp as it used to be. Uh,
Mm,
so when I back in the day when I heard an album, it was like the eye test for watching a college player going into the NBA. You just knew, you know. I don't have that talent anymore. I have to re-listen to albums, see how they hit different.
Yeah,
Uh,
I agree with that, but
yeah.
I think the way we digest music is a lot different than
And,
we did.
and I agree.
Yeah.
I agree on that point because we do live in a microwave society. We instantly want to say, is this a classic or not? Nas' album is very good. I can listen to that front to back. However, he had a low bar to cross because he had a couple
mm.
albums that were just bootleg.
Dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, it's true.
yeah.
And I think that's the thing, that's the difference now where it's like kinda like what Josh was saying, like people like just whole albums is people are like, "Huh? What's that?" You know? And I think I was laughing because my girlfriend doesn't listen to music, which is weird.
Dude,
But she listens
that is
but she listens to
weirdly
songs.
weirdly no disrespect to her, that is weird.
No,
So she
it
don't
is
listen to
for
no
sure.
music at all?
Dude, she listens to music, but it's not like it's like she's not actively like, "Oh, this is an artist I like, let me go listen to their whole
I
album."
got you. She's not really.
You know what I'm saying?
She's not out there
The music
following them.
fan.
Oh, you
Exactly.
had
Got you.
me thinking she listened to white noise or something like.
But
3 hours of
exactly. So with that in mind, she knows songs, but she doesn't know albums. So she'll know a popular song or the lyrics to it but she might not even know the artist. She just knows all the words of that song because she likes that song. But that doesn't spark anything for her to go listen to a full album. And then maybe later on, like she's no, and that's. But then also too, what's also interesting is
Mm,
I can show her different things, and she'll be like, "Oh, this is really good," and I'm like, "Yeah, of course it is. Fucking Sade." And she's like, "Who's this?" I'm like,
jeez.
Sade, but that's
Mm.
because how she digests music is different than how I would. Like we just talked about what 5, 6 different albums. I'll probably go and listen to a full album because I'm curious about the new Jasmine Sullivan or the new Nas or whatever. But for her, she
Play the
is that.
single if it's on the radio. Oh,
Right.
that's
Exactly.
catchy. Mm,
Yeah, so she ingests music differently. Like she'll listen to songs to sing in the shower on Spotify, and so then that's will be kind of how she gets that type of music. Now, it doesn't mean that she's that she'll like not like something, but it's more just the way she consumes it is different than how we're heads, so we're like, oh,
But
new album out,
let me
cool, let me
let
listen
me
to
ask
that.
you this: is she younger than you?
Yes,
Ding
yes,
ding
Okay.
ding.
yeah, and
Nah, the age ain't.
no,
It,
No,
but
no. The only reason why I asked that is because we, like I said, we're a little bit older.
It's a
We grew
different
up with,
consumption
yeah,
model.
we grew up going to buy albums. We bought
exactly,
tapes. Like it was a different experience for us.
and I'm
yeah,
not
and
even
so
the same person about music like I was when I was younger. Like I was music hungry. Now it's just like I have to be connected to sources to show me music because I'm not
mhm, yeah,
actively
yeah,
searching like I used
yeah,
to be.
Well,
exactly,
yeah, we're
exactly.
washed.
We don't
We're
got the time
old,
anymore.
so
Yeah,
yeah.
we don't got the time anymore. But I thought it was interesting because
But then
the
you
way
have more access to more music than you ever did in your life.
and that's
Yes.
the part that got me because I was like, and it was interesting to listen to how she consumes music because it was different than I did. So it made me open up a little bit more because I'm like, huh. So you're not actually following an artist and kind of listening to their catalog. You're kind of following a certain sound or a style, and you stay within that realm. And it could literally be any different artist, and then that's how you would kind of. And so it was really interesting because like that's I didn't never thought of consuming music that way. And so, like, and just like Dwayne said, like, if there's an album before, tape, CD, we would actually go through the liner notes and that kind of stuff, and we would
Hmm.
consume the whole album and then talk about the whole album. Like Questlove was talking about that. He was like, there's only a few artists that drop something and everyone listens to it, and then we collectively have a conversation about it. There's not that many artists that are like
Kendrick.
that anymore. Yeah, Kendrick's one of them.
Yeah.
Um, Beyonce is one of them as well. But like there's certain people that when they drop an album, everyone that are music heads will listen to it and they'll comment it and we'll have this back and forth about it. But nowadays, the way younger people uh, consume music, that's not the case. It's kind of like, oh, this pop artist dropped a song. Oh, cool. There's a video for it. Okay, cool. But that's about it. There's not that back and forth like thing about music like how we're doing like you said a classic album, and I was like, yeah, that's a good point. I can't even really say something in the last say 5 years. I'm like, oh man, yeah, this is a classic album.
The
For real,
last album I listened to top to tail was the Salam Remy album.
Oh, that was a good one.
That's
Going with
the
the Black Thought or the one he's by himself.
the one that he produced, and it was like
Oh yeah, different
yeah,
people.
it
Yeah,
had
yeah, yeah. That was
different
one.
artists on it. That I can
Yeah.
listen to stem to stern every time it's on.
Hey, I honestly can't even tell you the last classic album. I have to like really think about this. It's not. You
It
put
took all
guns in
this
my
time. I was
head.
quiet all this time because I was like,
I was
I feel
thinking on
like
it
I know
right
what
now.
it is.
No,
Yeah.
that's why to me it's so hard to throw that word classic out because of how we live nowadays.
But everybody wants.
Yeah.
There's no in between. People want.
Yeah.
It's either a flop or a classic. But
Yeah.
what I was trying to say about the Nas, it's a really good album. It's
Hmm.
very listenable. If you spend money to buy it, you won't be disappointed. I've heard some people were tripping because they expected Nas to like make Illmatic again. I guess people still want that, but I was like, "Yo, this album is solid." I don't see
That's
a lot
never
of
gonna go away.
negative Yeah, I didn't see a lot of negative feedback like I saw for Nasir. I
Oh my
refuse
god.
to partake on Nasir because one, the idiot was producing it, and I was just like, I don't even care if it's good. I just can't deal with it. But it wasn't good, so I was like justified in my thoughts.
And there's one or two tracks that was like,
Yeah,
okay,
but,
yeah.
but
You're not
yeah,
missing
how you
much.
gonna have one or two tracks when it's 5 songs or 7 songs?
Yep.
Come on.
That's 50%.
Terrible.
I would say that I was saying that about Ye. I was like, percentage wise, I actually like more songs on Ye than I do Pablo. Just saying, like percentage is only 7 tracks. So I was like, hey, I like 4 of these. That's 4 out of 7. That's not that bad.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
still haven't listened to that album.
Neither have I
You don't need
actually.
to.
you don't need to.
Yeah.
I would say Kids See Ghosts. I really like that. I thought that was
Yeah,
dope. I like that. I
it
like
won't be in
that
my top.
that collaboration was
I,
dope. That's something that I wish
I
I
love
wish
Cuddy,
they
but I still can't
y-
listen to it because it's
Yep.
Kanye.
yeah
Kanye.
yeah
Yeah, he's cut.
yeah.
He's
But the
cut for me.
Kid See Ghost was him and Cuddy. They when they work together, I like what they do, and I think the Kid See Ghost and Pusha T and Tiana Taylor, like those three are worth listening to. Everyone
Yeah,
should listen
Pusha
to
T albums.
yeah, exactly. But you're right though. Like the label of classic and what that is like right. It's not like this past weekend was helping my clean out my girlfriend's mother's house because they're selling it, and so they have a whole bunch of vinyl. So they're like, "Hey, do you want this?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I want vinyl." So I've been going through it and kind of cataloging, and then she had Michael Jackson's Thriller album. It's original vinyl, and I'm like, it's only 9 songs, but I'm like, holy shit! Like
Dude,
each one of
that
these things
lineup,
are,
there's no. Oh
dude,
my
it's
god.
insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like production wise, writing wise, like,
Wait,
and
what album?
this is Michael
Thriller.
Jackson's Thriller. And so it's songs that I forget that are on the album because you listen to greatest hits or a playlist of Michael Jackson all the time, but then you forget what group of songs were on each individual album. And I was like looking at it, I was like, holy crap! Like this came out like what 1981, I think, right now, and that was his second album. And then the first one, So it's interesting to see that like the in the age where people are making so much disposable music and they're just kind of like really quickly making it. And you guys notice the songs are getting shorter now because people wanted to be on
Oh,
TikTok and
yeah.
shit.
Yes.
I was just about to say that after you were done with your point. Like Nas's
Yep.
album's only 38 minutes. You're not making an
Mhm.
album for an hour because of the world we live in
Mm,
now.
Yeah.
it's true, man.
You can't.
2 minute songs, man. 2 minute
Yeah.
songs.
I mean,
That's crazy.
I would love. Oh, another good album, Camp Low. Another, just like it was one of.
Oh, with the Pete Rock. That was
Yeah, that
dope. I
came
like
out. I
that.
was
I like that
like,
a lot.
this is
I like that.
awesome. Like I was just
Yeah.
listening to it. I listened to it like once every few days, and I was like, this is a really good ass album. This is like, wow, okay, they came out with an album and no one's really talking about it. If it's not for a few podcasts that I listened to, that album would have I would have missed it on my radar. But there's a lot of good music out. Like people tripping. Like I said, Sky Zoo's been putting out quality work. I'm a
Yep.
diehard Wu fan. Killer Priest put out an album, and it's talked about around the circles that listen to like that type of rap. It's a good album.
Mm.
He's come out with some BS, but like this latest project is really good. The Blue and Exile album is amazing. It's like super good. Korean Town Oddity put out a project that's one of my favorite albums of the year. For those that don't know, go check out Koreatown Oddity. He's got good work. I mean, there's a lot of good projects out there, and I just have to sit down and take the time to listen to music again. Like it's an acquired skill set that I've lost as I've gotten older because I've just got so much on my plate. But when those days when I'm just not doing anything and I'm just chilling, watching something and listening to music, I find myself enjoying good hip hop again.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
way I digest music, like I always have music on no matter what. Like it's my background noise, it's my white noise.
Yeah.
But if I'm listening to an album for the first time, I put down my phone. Like I can't be cruising the web.
Mhm.
Like
Hmm.
I have to sit down and listen to it. And I do that on purpose because I try to give it the same respect as if I'm in a movie theater.
Hmm.
Like the reason
Hmm.
why movie theater experiences are still the same from when we were kids to now is because silent your phone, put your phone away. It literally has your attention. And I think a lot of music nowadays, when people listen to it, yo, oh shit, check out this picture on Instagram. Oh, yo, this guy just dunked on this guy. You're not even listening to the song anymore, but then you come back to it and you just like it's like reading a book. You have to give it your full undivided attention. And I think that's the way music should be kind of digested, but it's not.
Yeah. No, you're right. And then I think then because of that, that's when it gets that the less of the respect it deserves
Yeah.
because it's so
People
disposable.
put
It's
their
like,
heart out there and they're like, did you really listen to it though? You know what I
Put
mean?
yeah,
put
yeah.
put it like this. There, I've been on SoundCloud. Like, is it SoundCloud? Not SoundCloud. Jeez.
What, Pandora?
No, no. What is?
Title?
No, not title.
Spotify?
It's where artists you can directly get to the artist. What is that site?
Oh, Bandcamp.
Bandcamp.
Bandcamp. Yeah. So I've been on the Bandcamp hype lately, and there's some like projects of people I ain't never heard of that's just
Oh yeah,
dope. Like,
there's
th-
Bandcamp is now the refuge of the unsigned artist,
SoundCloud.
and
Yeah.
it's not what SoundCloud started out as. SoundCloud wound up or what SoundCloud became. SoundCloud
yeah,
just became the haven of I got music, I'm gonna put it up, and it's such a weird grab bag. It could be complete trash, or you could find like a diamond in the rough. But
check it out.
Bandcamp is definitely more of a
I
there's
always
a
buy
higher
albums on Bandcamp.
Yeah,
Like
I just
there's a
did that.
higher rate of return if you cruise Bandcamp for artists for sure.
So I was listening to the shout out to the Dad Bod Rap Pod. They put me on to an artist called MF Blue, and it's spelled Bloo. And he did a tribute album to MF Doom's Food, and it's in the same vein. Beats are similar, and I went to go listen to the album thinking it was gonna be a joke. That album is fire. Like I was just like, whoa, this is amazing. Like, and I'm a Doom stan, and I was just like, yo, this is amazing. And then I bought the Salt album, one of their older works, by going to their page, and they had a vinyl for sale. And I was just setting up my DJ table, and I just said, you know what, let me buy some vinyl. This is the first time in a long time that I've bought music from like directly the artist and not the store, and I felt good about it. I was going to get back to a previous point. What when my criteria for usually when I feel a classic album, it hit me a certain way. Um, Sometimes I'll yell and just say bars when I just hear them lyrics, or
Hmm.
I like one album I cried because I was like, "This is perfect." Like I ain't
What
gonna lie.
album brought you to tears, bro?
word.
I think it was when the first time I heard Dr. Dre's 2001.
Jesus Christ, bro. You could
Wow.
have said R&B. This
Huh?
dude said, this dude said gangster rap. I'm like, you
No,
can say
but
R&B.
but Dr. Dre put out Chronic 2001, and I was like, this album's perfect at the time, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. Hearing
See, that, to me,
Raekwon's
yeah,
album
yeah.
was
You
a
see, those are experiences.
yeah.
Right.
Because I
Yeah,
had
yeah,
the
yeah.
same
Mhm,
experience when I listened to
mhm.
Chronic. I went on my break to Virgin. See, I have a story. I went to Virgin Megastore on 42nd Street. I had a break from John Jay. I was taking like a class. Grabbed the album, grabbed Lil Wayne's album because they dropped the same week. Walked back to school and played Chronic. And I was like, yo, what am I listening to right now? Like it just, I was like, yo, this is the greatest album I've ever heard in my life.
That's a classic album too. Like when you get those type of vibes, I haven't
I
felt that in a
co-sign that.
long time. I get songs that put me in that place, but I've yet to have an album put me there. And the last Chronic ain't the last album, but it's the one I can remember. That I vividly remember listening to it front to back, and I was like, "Yo, this is crazy." Raekwon's album, crazy to me. 95, I was a kid. I was with that whole movement. When that album came out, I was a fanatic. Like I was like, "Yo, this is crazy to me." It's been a long time since felt that way about an album. Now, there's been songs that's come out where I'm just like, "Yo, this is nuts." Black Thoughts had a couple songs that come out. I'm just like, "Yo, this that man freestyle on Funk Flex had me put me in a place." I was like,
Oh, son.
"Yo,
Yeah, he zoned out.
yeah, he's zoned out." But it's been a while since an album's done that. But songs do that nowadays for me more frequently.
It's because we're overstimulated, man. I think
Yeah,
that's why.
Well,
yeah.
also, in keeping with the microwave theme, like Chronic 2001 had what, 20 some odd tracks on it? Like
Something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
nobody's doing that
Yeah.
anymore. Nobody's
It-
doing that
yeah.
anymore. You lucky if you get more than 10, you like, yo, this is I got massive bang for the buck. And not all of the tracks are gonna be worthwhile. Like you could as a concept, Dre's 2001 album, I don't love everything that's on it, but I can still listen to it from top to tail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know if
Yeah.
the sentiment is still the same, but what I'm saying is when it came out, it put me in a place where I took off the headphones. And was like, "Yo, this is a special fucking album, man!" Like I looked at
I
my
feel
friend.
like I feel like it still could be a classic without you liking every track. Like
Yeah, no, yeah, that's
the
true.
first album, like
Oh,
whatever. There's what is it, respect. Like I don't hate it, but I'm just like I could skip respect.
okay. For me personally, it's not the last album, but the album I always refer to as a classic album. No skips for me. Mob Deep, The Infamous. If
Okay.
Hmm.
for me, out of all like Tribe, De La, all them, Mob Deep, The Infamous, front to back, I can listen to anytime, any time of the day, anytime, year, and I say to me that is like the epitome of a classic album. There's others. It's a matter of opinion, but for me, and Mobb Deep's not even my favorite group, but I always felt that project, their second album, is really good. I could possibly say that about the Roots Do You Want More album, another album that
Mm.
I could go back to
Yeah.
and listen to every song and say this album is fucking amazing. And I'm not the biggest Roots fan, but I love that album.
Yeah, and I think that's the part, like, kinda like what Dwayne was saying, like, the experience adds to it, and I think now our experiences have been kinda, like, lessened, so, like, when someone's again, drops an album, before you'd have to go physically go somewhere to go get that album, and then whatever was happening in that your day would add to the experience, where now, that experience is a little bit lessened. The difference, though, and this is actually I give this to, Beyonce, where she been doing more video stuff, where she would
Yeah.
drop the album and drop the video, and that actually creates an experience. And so recently with Jay Z and Pharrell with their Entrepreneur song and video, like the song, is whatever, but the video is super dope. And so it's like, but put them in tandem together, it actually probably makes the song a little bit better. But in general, the video is the more powerful
Well,
message.
also,
And I think,
it goes back to
go
what I was
ahead.
saying before. there there's a concept behind the whole thing. It's a package. And so you don't just have I like this Primo beat, I like this Jay Dilla beat, I like this beat, I like that beat, and just smush it all together. There's a point A, a point B, a point C. And even if they're different topics that the songs cover, even if it covers different topics, even if it's all over the place, there's something conceptual that chains the whole thing together. Whether it's one song like with Jay Z and Pharrell, where the song is chained to the visuals from the video, or with
Mhm.
Beyonce's
Yeah.
most recent
Hot
release.
Take on Me. Like there's songs that the videos they stick out.
Yeah, exactly. And like even for me, like I don't think the Lemonade album's good, but the visuals that paired
It
with
makes it.
it were pretty
It
dope.
makes it.
But it adds to that experience. And I think a lot of people consume music and don't have the experience of that anymore. It's more just it gets dropped and then it's kind of going. And it's a hit or it's not or it's a flop, kind of like what Cam was saying earlier. But then you know, what I was listening to Genius's open mic, I think it was. It's like they do a bunch of live shows or whatever.
I thought you were talking about
Live
Jizza,
music.
and I was like, he got a new album called Open Mic. I'm slipping.
Man, you
Old
are
man hip
such a
hop.
Yeah.
headband. You are such a woo nerd.
Yo.
Yep, exactly,
I
exactly.
was like, yo, when he come on, I didn't even hear about this. I'm
Nah,
sleeping.
but no,
Then why
no,
didn't you tell me?
Genius,
nah. Just like
genius, the
Cam said,
company.
Yeah.
Genius Company. No, no. I'm just thinking of videos that, and I'm not saying it's a great song, but the video adds to it. You know what
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Jamiroquai's
Hmm.
Virtual Insanity or
Yep,
Yeah.
This Is America, Childish
yep.
Gambino.
100%,
Like it's not a
100%.
great song, but the video you see, you're just like,
Yep,
okay,
yep.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
that's
100%.
fair
Yeah,
because I'm not a
and I
fan
think
of the song at all. I'm just
no, that's
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and that's what
The
I think that's
video,
what we were trying to say. The video kind of
yeah.
makes you be like, oh, okay, I get the message, I get the point.
Exactly, and I think, like, for me, I actually heard the song first, and then I heard the song first, I watched the SNL performance, and then I saw the video, and so then
That's
when I heard
for
the
Gambino.
for
Yeah,
Gambino,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So when I heard the song first, I was like, "All right, cool, whatever's." And then when I saw the performance, I was like, "Okay, it's a little bit better, interesting." And then I saw the video, I was like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay, okay." So put them in tandem. I was like, "Okay, now I see what you were going at." But if it was something like back in the day where it would I just heard that song or that like if that track was on the album, I'd be like, "All right, cool." And I literally wouldn't think
it wouldn't
more than
stick out.
twice.
Yeah,
yo.
yeah, it won't get your attention.
If Pope was on
Yeah.
this pod, we'd have a different take because that's
Well, what song?
the Pharrell Jay-Z song. He thought it was cool, and I was like, this song buns, man. Like,
Yeah. And that goes
But
to another point that I made, I think, when we were talking about it when it dropped. And that is, I feel like if you really want to have an impact, don't make a trash song that's on some, eggs are great and I think the chickens need to be cared for because they're like nobody cares about that. Like nobody's gonna listen to that. Like have a fire beat behind some behind some realness that you want to talk about. Make people pay
no, you're
attention,
right.
make it last, because I promise you the entrepreneur song is gonna be gone before it
I
gets
ain't gonna
cold.
remember that. I ain't gonna remember that next year. I know I won't.
Yeah,
Next year, but by the
yeah.
time it gets cold in New York, it will be
Next year.
gone. It will be a
Yeah,
memory.
Alright.
Hey,
yeah.
hey,
You'll be
I
good.
still ain't forgave people who was gassing up Chance and he came out with that Skibbity Doo Bop I Love My Wife album. Man, I was so tight.
Um,
Man, a man can't make an album that's talking about he
You know
loves
what I
his
yeah,
wife
mean?
and
man.
never
Come
make
on, man.
Black love,
it.
man. Come on, yo. Support it.
He's happy, man. He's happy. But yeah, I was watching the Genius the company's videos called
Circle back, circle back.
yeah, the series called Open Mic. And then but they their open mic because Genius they've fallen off a little bit lately, but the one thing that they're smart about is they keep it within the current state of the new rappers, right? So all the who that we don't listen to, that's yeah, exactly. That's who they kind of double down on. But that's part of the reason why their content gets all those hits because they're smart about, hey, this is Roddy Rich talking about the lyrics on this thing, or here's Rich Brian or freaking Young Mosley or whatever these dudes are. But they had these type of people do live shows or live videos and they're fucking
Of
horrible.
course they are.
Like not they're not just bad, like they're just not good. No presence, barely can do their own. I think it was was it Lil Tecca or something like that. This nigga was mumbling through his own song with like no emotion. I'm like, yo, what but again, the live aspect of performing as a musician, quote unquote musician or rapper, is not necessarily there anymore. Like
No.
you don't need that component to freaking be a rapper. Like you rock, spitting the hot 16 and rocking a crowd. That's actually not a requirement anymore. That to be a consistent and
A,
actual
a
sustainable rapper.
showman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like it was, and then the random pop one that I just random because I was just going through a playlist and like the song was okay, but just because they were actually playing music like instruments, I was like, oh my god, wow, you guys are great.
Yeah. That one stuck out. You're just like, oh my God.
Because the bar had been set so low, like Jesus Christ, like you don't have to. But this is I made the beat in my bedroom and
Off
I
off
emailed
my
it
iPhone.
to.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
I emailed it to my friend. He recorded it on his iPhone. We sent it to our mixer that did it, and then we put it on
And
SoundCloud, and now
fire.
it's a hit.
We
Yo,
made
you know
fire.
when I knew music was different? It was I think it was I forgot what Coachella it was, but I went and Frank Ocean was performing. It was like one of his first performances. And this was like after Nostalgia Ultra, the mixtape, which I fucking loved, his like introduction to the world. So he's up there performing and I'm just like, yo, this dude is terrible. Like he's got no stage presence, he looks nervous. And then it dawns on me, I'm like, first of all, the album is all like not it's just like reused music. So he's just
Mm.
used samples pretty much. And like he probably did it in his bedroom. So I'm like, he's not used to performing in front of
Hmm.
400 people staring at him. And obviously he's gotten better over the years, but music is so different nowadays, man.
Yeah, you don't have to. Like I said, you don't have to be a performer. So then when one of the newer people can perform live, you're like, oh shit, like the baby. Like I'm not a big fan of him. I saw one of his live performances, and I was like, actually, he's pretty charismatic.
Hmm.
Got good breath control, like rapping. I'm like, okay, dope. Like, I think it was Jack Harlow was another one where like I'm not the biggest fan of his music or what he does, but I saw him rap on one of his live stuff, and I was like, yo, this dude could spit. Freaking rocking the crowd. He has good, he actually all the things that the quote unquote heads care about. He had all that stuff. Plus, he was doing the current style. So I was realizing more. I'm like, okay, I don't necessarily hate all these young dudes because a lot of them are fucking horrible. But there are people that are doing some dope shit. They're just in a style that might not be your thing, but at least there's aspects of it that you can see what's going on. And like, just I'm telling you, man, just go through
Dude,
the Genius Logo.
I saw like the XXL freshman and I listened
Oh,
to some of
No,
them and I'm
please.
just
No,
like,
no, 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 don't do that. It will hurt. It
Hey,
will
I'm not gonna lie. I have to sometimes because sometimes you be fine. Like I'll find a gym and be like, "Yo, this is actually
yep,
kind of
yep,
tight."
yep.
so
Twitter has put some
mhm.
music out there. Just random dudes make like some dude made a mix. I retweeted it with Earth, Wind, and Fire, and it was fire. And then somebody did a '80s, early '90s or '80s version of WAP, and
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I
woo,
felt that.
it's actually really good. I don't think it's a real song. I just think some dude just was messing around, but it was actually.
Yep.
I was like, I need to hear the full version of this because it's actually that's the only time I've actually listened to that song. Not I didn't listen to
Yeah.
the original. I just listened to the remix version because people were saying it was fire, and I peeped it and I was like, yo, this is kind of hot. But there's some new stuff out there that, for myself, being a quote unquote old head, that if I give myself time to listen to it, I may actually like it. Now, that's not to say I'm gonna like everything. There's some things that's broken
Bro,
my
there's music. There's good music out there.
there's good music out there.
Yeah, yeah,
So I don't want to totally dismiss it because there was a dude I was following and he put something out and I retweeted his music. I was like, low key, if you listen to it, this is actually really good. This is not my cup of tea, my lane, but I actually like this.
yeah,
Tweeted me back and was like, why wouldn't you like it? I was like, this, I just don't listen to music like this, but I heard what you were saying. The lyrics are good. The beat was solid. You're a good artist. It's just not my cup of tea, but I like this.
yeah,
And
yeah. And
I respected that. So
yeah, and I think that's the level now where it's like the older heads that understand that aspect of it. Because like now, Richter was made a good point. He was like, there are so many different, subgenres within like say just hip hop in general, and you can find your own lane. Like if you're like a quote unquote lo-fi head, you could find a whole genre of music that is that you like. The emo grunge of the mid 90s is starting to come back now, but they're all like poppy kids and stuff, and they're like 2019, but they're all emo, and then the beats are slow, but they have the same guitar riffs as like Nirvana and fucking those type of stuff. That's
Nerdcore
a
hip
whole
hop
nother
in the early
genre.
2000s.
Yeah, like there's so many different genres and niches that people are starting to fill, and there's like an open lane for you to just create and do that. I think that's kind of dope. Like it might, like I said, like you said, it might not be for us, but the people that are actually taking it seriously and putting that time in, I think that's my thing. Where I'm like, if that's gonna be your lane, then fucking own it and research it and really put some dope shit in that lane. Like if you're just gonna sit there and like disrespect the music and just kind of just play around with it, I'm like, I mean, why should I waste my time listening to you?
Totally.
But yeah, I think that's you know, go listen to new music, people. Open your third eye.
It's just gonna keep on because like I think Josh made a point like how no one's listening to albums and you could grab a track from here from there. When we were buying albums, it's just like, am I gonna buy Biggie's album
Hmm.
or am I gonna buy Nirvana or Madonna? Like obviously I'm buying Biggie, and if I stumble upon something else when I have some more money, I might listen to it. But now I can listen to anything I want, and their biggest, I guess, idol is Kanye, and that spurred the Astor Ross, the Kid Cuddies, the B.O.B.s. These are like the blues. These are the blog people from 2010s, the Charles
Yeah,
Hamiltons, the cool
yeah.
kids. Like
Hey, Charles
yeah,
Hamilton, man, was my guy. I used to stand for that dude.
yeah. He's an idiot, but he was dope.
yeah,
He was
Yeah, I
dope.
used
The
to see him.
cool
I
kids.
used to see him in New York. He's fucking
yeah,
idiot. But
Pac
yeah,
Pac Div, like Mickey Fax, Wale. These are all
Mhm.
like the blog kids.
That was a nice
It
era. That's a
was,
nice era.
Hmm.
and then these kids to me are worse because they're not. You can't understand what they're saying, but it's a spin-off. It's like they're kind of spawning from what they were playing in those days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right. That's actually a really good point. Like that little era of
Kind of
rap.
freedom. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. That's why I think it's kind of cool that the young kids have that freedom. Like they're just so detached from like the older stuff, and like like my recent annoyance is the let's sample a well-known R&B song and make a trap beat out of it, but it's not even close to being as good as the original samples.
Hey,
Like
th-
Jesus Christ,
I'll put it in the chat.
so
I heard a
amazing.
beat that exactly fit that narrative, and it was dope. Actually, I was like, oh,
No, and there's a few. Division has some good stuff. Summer Walker, there's one flip that she did that was pretty dope. Sweetie, eh. But like, but it's more of a trend now. Like they're just like, yeah, yeah. My parents used to play this Usher song.
Word. That's what I was thinking. Like kids, like they're probably looking at their parents like Monica, Brandon. Like turn this shit off, mom. Like no, that's my
The boy is mine.
yeah,
Why these chicks fighting over a dude? There's
yeah.
plenty of dudes out there.
exactly. Oh, people was tripping off the WAP song, and I'm like, have y'all listened to Millie Jackson back in the day?
Sure.
Nope. Short term memories, man. Short
Yeah,
term
go
memories.
go
That's right.
listen, go watch a Prince video from the '80s.
Dog.
Word.
So
Prince had people questioning their sexuality.
exactly.
Prince have people
Uh,
questioning reality, son.
Seriously. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up and hit with some final words. We'll do a little bit different this time for final words. The man Chadwick Boseman passed recently, and it shocked a lot of people because he was going through a personal battle with colon cancer, and it reawakened a couple health concerns for black men specifically. We are all black men on this crowd. We are all of an age, and so I think that it's interesting to cool to hear the stories and the things that are coming out. But I figured we could use the final words to kind of like speak on Chadwick for a hot second. Um, we'll start with Dwayne. Want to go first?
Well, first I'll tell you how I heard it. Obviously, we all heard it on Friday. Um, Normally, like Friday, a bunch of my friends we jump online and we play Madden. And strangely enough, the week before we're talking about Black Panther 2, who's going to be the villain. Um, Talking about that, I think there was a possibility that Chadwick might not be the Black Panther going forward. We were hearing rumors, and then fast forward to this Friday, I'm like, I look at my phone, I'm just like, what? Like I'm looking at his tweet, I'm just like, what am I reading? And like I'm reading it live to my friends, and we're just like, nah, you know what I mean? Like he's not that much older than us, and I'm just like, I don't, I like, I'm still lost for words, man. I was watching the ABC special yesterday that they had. um, I was watching Black Panther, and it's just rough, man. It's the only well, of course, there's good things from it, but I think he lived a life where he kind of set his mark on the world. Like I just want to see the positive in this. Like, unfortunately, he had the past, but it's gonna have a lot of black people, a lot of people in general. Go get those checkups. Go check out your colon.
Hmm.
Do colon cleanses. Like, be more aware. And like he birthed a new generation of kids who they're seeing a black action hero. Like that's never gonna go away. You know what I mean? Like there's gonna be a kid who watched Black Panther and be inspired. You know, there's kids who watch Monica and Brandy growing up that inspired them. So he was able to represent himself off the camera and like on the camera. So I don't know, man. I'm I'm struggling to talk right now. I'm about to tear up, but it was a huge loss, and I just think we just have to see the positive from it and kind of build on that. Like, go take care of yourself, go get a checkup, give people roses while they're here. Like, I was so upset when, and like, I didn't partake on it when people were sharing pictures of him being sick, not even sick, but like his weight loss. And like, with an actor, you think like, okay, he's probably performing
He's
a
probably
role. You
getting
know what I
ready
mean?
for a
Like, yeah,
role, right?
yeah, you think he's gonna get ready for a role, do a certain thing, but then when word got out or we heard Friday that what was going on, another thing with internet. Now people are attacking people for having those jokes. So it's just I'm scrambled here, but it's just a weird time that we live in, and it's unfortunate that he had to pass. But I just want us to kind of like take a positive from it and continue to grow and take care of your wellness and appreciate people while they're still here.
Yeah, I agree. It was I think I heard it I heard it randomly actually. And then the rest of the story started to unfold about what was going on. And actually I didn't I think I saw the was it TV1 Image Awards or one of that stuff, and that was like the one of the first time I had seen him for a minute, and I was just like, "Oh man, he looks a little gaunt."
Yeah.
So I kind of said the same thing. I was like, "Well, he's either preparing for a role or he might be sick that just might not be out there." But I didn't think two extra thoughts about it. Like didn't I I had saw like one or two memes. I was kind of like, that's negativity that I don't really need, so I just left it alone. And then when I saw, I think the trailer for Five Bloods, that's when I saw he looked different than in his other roles, and I was like, oh man, this might be more serious than I thought. But I didn't think too much of it.
Hmm.
And then when it did pass, it was interesting to like see because like the brother played very iconic roles, whether you might have agreed with that movie or
Hmm.
not. But it was really interesting that he chose roles that he thought were a lot more prominent as opposed to nigga number five or a thug over number two. Like
Yeah.
and so and he did that on purpose. And you see he has a lot of those interviews talks about that. And even with Black Panther, like, there's flaws in the movies and whatever, but you're right. There's a whole generation of young black boys that will watch that 6, 7, 8, 9. That was their introduction to a lot of like superhero type
Hmm.
stuff and that seeing themselves. So I think viewing it through that lens makes it shows like again putting that prominence on the amount of work that he did and stuff that he was gonna, and then also just a lot of the stuff that in his interviews and all that stuff that was also really dope, and hearing those other stories from people, and again, like you said, give people their flowers when they're here, because you're right, we don't really get to hear a lot of the cool stories until after someone passes, and that's the part that to me I think is a kind of, it sucks because you're just kind of like, man, those are the stories we need to share more about so that everyone can hear these good deeds that other people did. Like, Denzel was the one that paid for him to get to go to that internship and all
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. And like these type of stories, like those are the stories we got to share now while people are alive and kicking and doing good stuff, so then we can kind of inspire other people to do it. I think that, to me, is that where I do agree with you on that. Like we definitely need to celebrate the people that we feel are doing some dope shit in the nows, so we don't have to always have to be in memoriam of them.
Yeah, less of the negativity, you know?
Hmm.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. 100%. Josh.
Um, yeah, like you and Dwayne, I found out Friday, just sort of goofing around on my phone or whatever. And the news flash popped up, and I posted it in our chat, and yeah, it obviously, like everybody else, it completely caught me off guard. Um, yeah, I mean, it hits different. I mean, celebrities pass all the time, and
Mhm.
people pass all the time, but it hits different, I think, because you for the longest time you hear, and I was talking with my mom about this yesterday while we were watching the the broadcast of Black Panther, and then the special afterwards. And you for the longest time you hear in the media, um we can't make this movie because that won't sell. We don't know how to promote it. Black people don't come out uh to support black movies. We don't know how to make that movie. And in one shot, this one movie just shattered all of that. Like, no one can ever say any of those things ever again. It's been done. And
Mhm.
it doesn't take a lot of hard math and trigonometry to just make a good movie. Now, I don't want to say stick a black guy in the role, but like, you can write these stories and cast black people and have them be successful. The movie made over $1 billion in record time. Um, and I think, if nothing else, just for someone who has such an investment in the industry like I do, just in terms of just being a huge television and film nerd, and also working in the industry, for me that means a lot. Not only from a business standpoint, but from just little kid me, who's been into comic books since I was in single digits. And
All of us, bro.
yeah, who's been
Yeah.
into comics since I was in single digits, and just sort of at one point realizing, like, yo, there's a lot of white faces here, and like, Storm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for me, it didn't strike me until the day before, or the day the movie was coming out. And I think I posted something on Facebook along the lines of like, yo, little kid me cannot believe what I'm about to go see. That's how impactful it was at age 40, whatever it is that I was at the time, that I was still geeked, but like at that level. And I think, if all the things that he did, with his celebrity, definitely need to be celebrated. But I think shattering that door, that the busting that door wide open, and dispelling myths, I think, was the thing that meant dispelling that particular myth, that you can't make that movie, it doesn't make money, no one knows how to promote it. All of that's gone because of him, in one movie.
Yeah. It's true.
And I
It
think
it
that's probably the
people
thing
speak
that means the most to me, as a huge television and film and action movie nerd. Watching the movie last night with my mom, like, it did not dawn on me until I started watching it and started happening. I was teary eyed through the whole thing. I did not really think about how emotional it would make me watching that movie, and then watching the special afterwards, where they talked about
bro.
all the philanthropy that he's done, all the visits to kids hospitals, all of this, all of it, all of it, all of it, while he was fighting stage 4 colon cancer. There are
Mm.
people who are in stage 1 and stage 2 that can't do a quarter of what he was doing at stage 4 without even batting an eyelash. Didn't complain. When
Mhm.
I read a statement from Spike Lee that saying that he recorded the Five Bloods in the middle of in the last it was the last thing that they worked on that he worked on, I believe, and no one knew. Like he was in sweltering heat in Thailand where they filmed it on location, and you would think that he was just chilling, like it was just a regular day. He didn't blink, he didn't bat an eyelash, he never complained, he never asked for time off, was never late to set, never missed a day of filming.
Yeah.
Stage 4.
Yeesh.
That says a lot about his character. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's the willingness to fight through and in your mind beat it as well. And like I think that's why a lot of people don't know about it. He doesn't want you to feel sorry for it, and he just fought through it, man.
Yeah, and I think also too, I think by handling it in that way, the lasting legacy later on is this as opposed to, deteriorating in the end.
Right.
That it happens to a lot of folks too. So I can that's another thing
Yeah,
I peeped as well, where I was like, you could definitely see that instead of him, let me just chill out for my last year and do me. He was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep doing what I want to do so that when I am gone, my last year wasn't a year of just pain and suffering. It was more like helping people and doing
yeah.
that kind of stuff. So I thought,
It's like an athlete. So, for example, Kobe rupturing his Achilles, getting up and finishing shooting the free throws, and then going back. You know what I mean? Like it's you don't want to be helped off the court.
yeah, I feel that. Cam, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah. I'm gonna first start off and say that, like, I mean, he wasn't even my favorite actor. I respected his work.
Mm,
I was critical of some of the roles he played. Thurgood Marshall. I was like, still don't even look like Thurgood. But I mean, he went in on certain roles, and some roles I was like, eh. But he was a quality actor. I respected him. With that said, when I heard the news of his death, I literally, if 2020 was a person, I looked at 2020 like dead ass. Like, you really gonna take this guy? Dead
mhm,
ass.
mhm, mhm.
Like, for real? Like, what's going on here? I literally was like, maybe I need to collect the fucking Infinity Stones and snap some shit back into perspective. Because I was like, man, come on, 2020 been out of pocket lately, like straight out of pocket. And I just didn't get now what you guys didn't know prior to me getting on this thing. I just got a notification from my coworkers that one of my bosses died from leukemia
Jeez.
like yesterday.
Damn,
And
Mm.
and I feel like I just talked to this person, like, in
damn.
passing, right? Like, we talked all the time. So this hit me double. Like, but when I saw it, I was like, for real? Like, this dude? Then I found out how old he was. And then I started thinking, like, yo, don't they tell us like at 50 to go get this? I'm 40. This man was 39 diagnosed. I'm scheduling a colonoscopy ASAP. Like, I'm not even playing around. Uh,
Yeah.
with that said, hug your loved ones. Um, drop all the like I said, I say this every time we go through some crazy stuff, but just drop all the unnecessary beef. It ain't worth it. Um, and speaking on his Black Panther role, like, you guys know me, I was the biggest advocate for pushing that movie before Marvel even conceptualized that. Um, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Marvel movie, but I respected it. I enjoyed it. But now I look back on certain scenes and I start thinking about certain things that he did and how he was performing. He, we look at it as like, okay, he didn't complain, but I also feel like because he knew his situation, he just did his most work. He's just gonna do it and just put a lot of stuff out there
Mhm.
because he knew his time was coming. Like, I just felt like he was gonna do all this and knew his time was coming. That's why like, you look back at his resume during that 4 year period, he was like, that was a lot of movies. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And when I saw the image of him super skinny, my joke was, I was like, I hope he don't do a 50 Cent role. That was my thing. 'Cause 50 Cent lost hella weight, and the movie was garbage. No one watched it. So I was like, I figured he doing a role because we seen Christian Bale do it. We
Right.
see a lot of actors change their physique to get into the role. What's the dude? Daniel Day Lewis. He gets into his role. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I was just like, you know what? Maybe he bulked up for Black Panther. Because when you get on a Marvel movie, you're gonna have to look a certain way. You're gonna have to look like a Greek god or something similar to that. So I'm like, maybe he's just a normal skinny guy and he bulked up. So I wasn't thinking he was a little gaunt, but it also made me remind myself of Charlie Murphy when I saw Charlie Murphy, and I was like, man, this dude
Mm,
don't look right. Like, but you don't know. We just didn't know.
Mm.
And then after that, he deleted his photos, and we didn't hear too much from him. But we see him in movies, and I didn't think nothing of it. But obviously, the camera adds a few pounds to you. But just to hear that, the Lord took him. Like, really? Like, Black Panther. Like, kids growing up who, you know, we look at Black Panther in a certain way, but the kids look at it a different way.
Hmm.
They hero gone,
bro, we all look at Black Panther the same way
but it's
because
different
we
levels.
it is, but it's experiences like we were talking about with music.
Yeah.
We got dressed up. We all remember.
Oh yeah, no, we all went in. We all went
Yeah,
in.
yeah, yeah.
We all went
But,
in. So it was a
but
moment.
I can't say that for Mission Impossible '94 that I saw
No,
last year.
no,
You
no.
know what I mean?
The
But
reason
yeah,
Right,
the
right.
reason why it was important is because he wasn't our first black superhero on the screen, but I guess he was our most important at that time. And
mhm.
to sit here and say, Blade was a jump off, but Black Panther is that dude because we know about him in the comics, and to see a black person direct it and have like a black cast, it's not a black movie. It just so happens to have black people in it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I had my opinions about the movie, this, that, and whatever. But going into it, I was like, yo, we dressing in our African garb. I wore a dashiki. I had my vision of what Africa should be like. And it was our Lord of the Rings. When you see the nerds and geeks get up for Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and
Yep.
whatnot, Star
100%.
Trek, this was our thing. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And that's a big deal. And to see him taken away on, I mean, on some bullshit, like straight bullshit. You just like, word? Like, word, out of all the bad people in this world, you take this man away from the planet who was giving people hope. Like, I mean, we got Miles Morales. I mean, it's not far fetched. We had Luke Cage and stuff. It's more accessible and more acceptable to see a black superhero on screen. But Black Panther
It
set the
changed it
trend for
changed the
better or
scale and
worse.
the scope. It changed the scale and the
Yeah,
scope for sure.
changed the game. And to have that man taken away from us, and he played a lot of iconic roles. It's weird, man. 2020 is a weird ass year. Like I said, every day I'm expecting aliens to drop down, but like the amount of death that happened this week was what Lou Olson, John
Yeah.
Thompson, Chadwick Boseman. I'm just like, yo, this
Cliff
what's going
Cliff Robinson,
Cliff Robinson?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
really?
53. Yeah.
So we're all of a certain age. We're around the same age, and I implore anybody that's listening right now, when you hear this, go take care of yourself, check yourself out. Um, Black people have a tendency not to go to the doctor for whatever reason. If you don't have insurance, I get it. But if you have insurance, go use
Yo,
it.
they be killing us too, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like I said, they told us 50. Nah, it ain't 50, bro. I'm going ASAP.
Yeah.
Get that taken care of, man.
Mhm.
You just never know. I mean, God forbid, I feel like I'm healthy, but anything happen to me, people be shocked. Like, what
Mm.
the hell? So,
Yeah, man. It's like I think, and I remember this because I think who was it that passed away? Oh, the anniversary of Aaliyah was
Oh yeah.
just
Mm.
A few
passed,
days ago.
and it was funny because I remember when she had passed because I was right before 9/11, and my dad. This is like 2001, right? So Aaliyah was roughly our age. So he was like, what's interesting is when someone that's a celebrity or like someone very famous passes away that's close to your age, it makes you think of your own mortality a lot more. Where if someone that's a celebrity or whatever that's already older or something like that, you're kind of like, oh man, they're 60s and 70s and 80s or whatever. But when they're your own age, you're like, whoa, wait a minute, that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And then you start to think about it a little bit more, and we all started to think a little bit more about our mortality now, and also like kind of like what Cam was saying, it's like, yo, beef ain't that serious, that negative energy that you had towards someone that's it really isn't as
Mhm.
as serious as you thought as it was. Like there's way bigger things out there. So it's like, is that what you really want to do? Is fight with somebody on the internet over something? No, not really.
Nope.
Like, let that shit go. Go go hang with the homies. Go hug the loved ones.
Hmm.
Get your exercise up, checking out everybody, making sure you get your walking in, you're exercising, and you're all that kind of stuff. So I think it's one of those reminders too, and like it is great that he has his creative work can help and further with other people. Like you said, now there's going to be a bunch of young kids that definitely do, like kind of like what Cam said. Black Panther. It doesn't matter that if it was a good movie or not, but it was a cultural moment that we all participated in, and we would all think about. I remember I got to go to see Black Panther in New York City. A bunch of black people.
Yeah.
Right.
We were
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
dressed up, and it was
I
fucking
was
a
in the
dope
theater
ass
with a
experience.
dashiki, just like probably all you guys too.
Oh, bruh.
Yep.
I
I
see you
posted
did
a
in the chat, Cam. You had
yep.
your Black
Yep.
Panther fit. So
Yeah, I posted a meme of Tribe Called Quest and they like African garb, early tribe. I was like, this is how we approach in the movie theater when Black Panther came
Yep.
out.
Yep. 100%. I had my dashiki on at Marvel, just chilling. Like, what you doing today? Oh, nothing, just hanging out.
Yep. No way I'm
Yo,
wrong.
yo.
And then the
I-
second viewing we went to go see with the BET squad. Me and Cam used to work at
Yep.
BET.
and you know what's crazy? I was so critical of the movie because I had so many hopes for that movie.
Mm.
Of course,
You only
as a
yeah,
creative and yeah, exactly,
you're only
100%.
critical of the things you love. Like if you didn't like it, you wouldn't give two cents about it. But because I was I have the comics,
Right.
like Black Panther was one of the reintroductions back into for me to buy comics again, physical copies. And I was like, yeah, I'm all about this. And I was just like, I can't wait till Black Panther. I think I don't know, it was Ant who was getting over. He was like, yo, they not gonna make a black. Who is enemy gonna be? I'm like, bro, they gonna make a Black Panther movie. Trust me. And it came to fruit, but it was funny. Ant was the one that said it was gonna reach $1 billion, and we all laughed at him like, you bugging, B.
Well, because Ant, shout out to Ant. Ant
Now he's up
engages in a
every-
lot of hyperbole. He
Yeah.
But
says
he was on the
he goes,
money though.
oh yeah.
No, yeah, you're
But
right.
he
You're right,
but he did
100%.
call it.
A
He
broken
called
clock
it. And he
is
called it
twice.
early.
It's right twice a day, yo.
Yeah, he called it, and
He
I
called
couldn't.
it
And I had
way
to give that
early.
man his flowers. I
He
was like, yo,
he
you're right.
also said that Derrick Rose
Stop.
and the Knicks will be making the Eastern Conference Championship. So
Yeah.
don't
Anyway.
We're focusing on the day that Ant was
all
right.
right.
And I love you, dog. But
My
you
fault.
know,
Give and his roses, yo.
yeah, we gotta give Andy his roses. With that said, though, one day we're gonna have to talk about how Jay-Z jerked young Chris out of
Yo,
a career.
Wow.
I know in my heart of hearts, Jay-Z.
We'll just talk about no negativity.
Word, yo.
Nah, we're gonna have to, I can't let that ride.
Not on my watch.
Yeah, exactly.
And with that, I think we shall end the show.
Peace. Hotel Vegeta, peace.
No. And once again, we're at the Table of Truth. We out.
Hasta lasagna. Don't get any on you.